What's going on? Welcome to All Access Magic. That caught me by surprise. He's like, "We're live." I'm like, "Oh!"
I've been doing that on the weekly patter. Yeah.
It's true.
So you say what's going on, and then on the weekly patter, I've been going, "We're live."
Yeah. So welcome to All Access Magic. My name is Ryan Edwards. This guy over here is
Bizzaro. Welcome everybody to the show.
We're pumped to be here tonight.
Great one tonight.
I would say the guy that we have on tonight is one of the most original thinkers and creators and performers in Magic.
Without a doubt.
So I'm pumped. I'm pumped to hear what he has to say about all that stuff. And I know that we are both massive escape room fans. So I'm sure that topic will come up as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
But
in that industry. So without further ado, there's no what last name? We can't even do it.
No. Okay, so you'll say it and then I'll say it and then we'll both say his name. How's that?
All right.
All right.
Welcome to the show. The man.
The myth. Oh, I was gonna. Okay, wait. You got to say all three, and then I'll repeat.
And then you'll do it all. Okay,
yeah.
Wait, what if you just say half of his name? What if you just say half? You say the first half of his name, and I'll say the second half. All right. Without further ado, welcome to the show. The man, the myth, the legend, Biz,
the man, the myth, the legend.
Oreo.
There he is.
Welcome, Bizzaro, to the show.
I like it. Oh, that looked awesome. That looked awesome.
How's it going?
That looks so great. I love that. I was like, okay, he has a fake tongue, but I was not ready for it to blow up. I was like, he has something on his tongue. That's so great. I'm already excited. This is already fun.
You're excited. Feel these nipples.
We're all excited.
That will be a meme, bro. You're excited. Feel these nipples.
That's a line from Basketball. If any of you are old enough to remember that movie.
I watched that like maybe like 2 months ago. It was on TV, and I was like, I am gonna watch this. So bad. But so good.
Yeah, but there's some really funny lines in it, so it's fine.
It's a heartwarming story as well.
Yeah. It's like there are other movies, Cannibal the Musical and Orgasmotron.
Yeah. Well, so 2 to add on to list viewers if you want to watch bad movies. So, but what's going on? What's new and exciting?
COVID everywhere, as far as the eye can see.
True.
Not much. I mean, lots, but not much. I tell people all the time, the details of my life doesn't change much, just the details. Like I'm always doing one of 3 or 4 things. It's just where I'm at and who I'm doing it for varies from day to day.
Yeah.
You are consistently performing in Vegas, but you're also constantly consulting and creating magic for people behind the scenes. I remember the last time we spoke, you were juggling like 5 or 6 projects. And it's you're creative.
Yeah, one of them just came out and aired recently. Actually, one of the TV shows I worked on came out on Thanksgiving. It was called The Magic Maker, and it was an Adam Trent thing. And we were all surprised. We're like, oh, that actually we didn't, because it was a pilot, but we didn't know if it was going to air or not. And then they're like, Thanksgiving. We went, oh, okay, I guess it is.
Nice. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, I actually met you. I think when we first met. I mean, we might have met before that, but was on Wizard Wars. We're both consultants on Wizard Wars.
I just introduced somebody to that show the other day, a non-magician friend of mine who's bored, and I'm like, go watch this. And she watched them, and she was like, these are great. And I went, yeah, I really wish that show had continued because it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was
amazing. The only thing that sucked about it was the boiling hot studio. It's like a cave that was like 9,000 degrees. But,
there is that.
It was a really, really great idea. I think the thing that sucked was, and not sucked, it was great overall, but the first season, if you remember the first season, was like the people facing the wizards won like 6 times or something like that.
Yeah. The first 6 episodes I was not involved in. I was over performing with Meatloaf, the singer, in his show.
Oh, nice.
While that was going on. Yeah, I was fire eating in his show. It was great.
That's awesome.
So I was busy during that. So when they did season 1.5 or whatever it was, because it was technically the same season. It was just filmed in 2 different chunks for some weird reason. I was involved in the second 6. In the second 6, they definitely tightened their grip around those winnings, and I think only one team won. It was mine, out of the challengers.
Well, I remember. So I consulted for a couple of the teams. I was with Spidey and Chris Ramsey, and
Nate they were my guys, and they were this close to winning until the Wizards cheated and screwed them. Literally.
Yeah, well, and it's funny because I kind of helped the Wizards in their routine as well, because they came to me and were like,
cheat? We need a recap on this. We need to
so you weren't allowed to have like
name all of the Wizards we need to call out.
You weren't allowed to have anything stooged, and so they didn't. They had me because I was technically a consultant on the show. So I wasn't really like a stooge or.
Oh no, that's not the thing. That's not the thing they did. It was the thing.
Because they did that too.
It was the thing where they used the rehearsal to their advantage because they knew they could, but the contestants didn't know they could do that. They basically got, because of the way the show was filmed, they basically got a dupe without a stooge, and it was one of those things. They're like, it's not in the rules. I'm like, yeah, but nobody else knows you can do that. That's kind of. It's cheating in my eyes. It's kind of like how card counting isn't technically cheating. It's advantage play, but boy, will the casinos kick your ass for it.
Yeah, which is funny because that's what me and Blaze want to learn how to do so that we could do it and get kicked out of casinos as part of an experiment with all access magic. But I remember on the show as well is that so when I also helped Nate Cranzo and Joel Myers with their stuff, and their routines were so like polished and great, and they were facing Shimshi and Gregory Wilson. And Greg came off stage and came back to me, and I'm sitting at the table watching it on the screen in the back, and he goes, "Do you know how you know it's a bad performance?" He goes, when it's bad and you come off stage, people are like, "Oh, good job," hey. He goes, when I came off stage, no one wanted to look at us. And he goes, because they can't even say good job because it was so bad. I had a show like that in my 20s where I had some friends, another magician I was in the audience, and I came off and went, "Ooh, that was a rough show." And they just went, They didn't say, "Oh no, it was fine." Nothing. And I went, "Oh, wow." Yeah, it was that bad. But so Greg said that to me, and then they go to the judges' deliberation, and Shimshi and Greg won. And we were like, absolutely, like everybody backstage was like, "Hey." I know. I was there watching everybody. We all were like, "What?" Well, I was pissed too, because they said to me, if I came and consulted for them, that I was going to get half of the earnings, because they didn't give a shit about the earnings. They were like, "We'll give you half because you helped us a ton."
Like the prize
money. Like, the prize money. So I was like, deal. I was like, that's fantastic. And so 2 of the routines that I helped with, same thing. They were like, "We're going to give you a bunch of cash if we win." And both should have won. Yep. And then didn't. Yep, so, I recall. I remember. So there was definitely some shenanigans. Very angry. But
I mean, the whole show is shenanigans. It's like you're talking about cheating, but it's like, what did you expect from all magicians to do it? Right. To take every opportunity to cheat as possible.
Yeah. But there's a thing called game show law. So
True. Oh yeah.
And boy, were they skirting some. No, I'm kidding. No, it was such a weird, fast and loose kind of premise that it was, and because you're up to the whim of the judges, you're kind of at the mercy of whatever it is. And it was early. It was kind of early Fool Us. It was almost like the first version of American Fool Us, because Penn and Teller were involved in it before it was over here in America, and so it became like this weird Fool Penn and Teller kind of thing, and we were all like, "That's not what this show's about," but all right. Yeah, no, 100%. And that's it literally, because Kyle and Misty won that season. Yep. And because they fooled Penn and Teller. Yeah, and that's what it kind of came down to. It wasn't, and it was, there was definitely, again, there were some weird things that happened, but beside all this behind the scenes stuff, it was still a good show. It got great ratings. People really liked it, were engaged with it. And what happened was somebody, I think, if you remember what I heard was correct, was somebody from Sci-Fi, NBC owned Sci-Fi. Somebody came in, a new guy came into the NBC and was like, "Meh, I don't like magic," so it didn't get renewed for another season. It wasn't even canceled; it just didn't get picked up again. Yeah. So that's the only reason. It was just some guy, rando dude, some new guy who was like, "I'm a grumpy cat," and okay.
No, I remember when it got canceled. I was sorry to cut you off, please. I got, because Rick contacted me after the first season when I was helping the teams, and he's like, "Thank you so much. You were amazing. You know, helped us get some of the acts on TV because they were terrible going in." And as you know, but so he's like, "I want you on the second season." So I was like, "Okay, sounds good." So they're like, "We don't need to interview you or anything. You're good." I'm like, "Oh, awesome." And so I was working on a show, Fake Off, with Spidey and Joel at the time.
Oh, yeah. I remember hearing about that.
And we're driving in the car, and I had just got, the okay from Rick like a couple of days later or earlier. And then we get an email. "I'm sorry, the show's not renewing." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?"
Well, there was a chance. There was a chance it might have had another incarnation on the CW, but that got messed up too. So it was. I think they just lost interest after that. But and now they're no longer magicians. So so now they don't care.
Yeah, it's so difficult for magic on TV, and trying to do magic on TV properly, because then there's always the fact that you're selling a show usually to a network, and then once producers that have nothing to do with magic get involved, and then there are certain benefits to that they oftentimes know TV better, but they certainly don't know magic better and how magic should be done on TV well.
Right. And I've been up against that forever, just doing any magic consulting, where what's something I've learned, and anybody out there who is going to get into consulting, here's a tip for you. If you have the ability to do this, I was just talking about this somebody the other day. If you can convince production to do this, it is the absolute best thing for filming a magic show. And that is a day of film and a day of learning and building, and you alternate. Because a lot of times what they want is like 5 days of filming, which means you have 2 or 3 days to cram as much knowledge into this other person's head as possible, which sucks because they are going to forget half of what you've told them. So if you can basically be like, here's what you need to know for tomorrow, you film it and do it. Okay, next day, here's what you need to know for tomorrow, film it, do it. So if you can convince production that is the best workflow, do it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's nice because you can go back to the drawing board and go, what didn't work yesterday? How do we make this better for tomorrow's shoot? So,
and it's something when we were doing. I don't know if you guys ever saw any of Misty Lee's Unicorn Wednesday videos that we did. Okay, well, for those of you who do not know, for 2 years straight, Misty Lee, who's a magician out of LA and also does a lot of video game and cartoon voices, voiceover work, she did a weekly video series called Unicorn Wednesday. So if you go to unicornwednesday.com, you can see all of the videos. It was again for 2 years, once a week. We did obviously whatever 52 plus 52 plus and some change and all those. And so we were trying to do new videos every time. And so our filming procedure became, we got in that groove where it was like every other day. So it was just easier because we would film 15 in a week. There you go. Yep, that's it.
There it is.
We would film 15 in a week. And, some of them, we all have our favorites. And so we would bring in, like, she had a girl who was on Sabrina, the new Sabrina, on there as a guest. We bring in guests, different voiceover people, different actors, people she knew, other magicians, as you can see there with the shocker, who was wandering around behind me earlier.
Yeah.
112 episodes of this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow. Crazy.
Yeah. And it was all, and our big thing was we wanted to, because you know how a lot of social media magic is, I just bought this thing. Look at this. Oh, there you go. It's done. Okay, and that's it, right? That is social media magic.
How did you do that?
I'm not telling you because I'm not that kind of a social media magician.
That's good. I like that.
But that's what a lot of magic is now. And we were like, we don't want to do that. We want to give a reason behind everything. We wanted to put in effort, I believe, I guess is what they call it now. And so while not all of them are amazing, we wanted to have enough stuff that, like, I almost guarantee each episode connects with some person in some way, even if it doesn't for us or you or somebody else. So, but yeah, if you get the chance, go check it out. The only reason we really stopped was because the world shut down.
Yeah. Wow, that's so many episodes, and so that's so much magic. Because I'm looking here, and so I'm just clicking on, say, the most recent episode 112. What is the length of this? Like, this is it loads. I'm curious about because okay, it's just a 40-second promo for it. Never mind.
No, they're short videos. They're short videos. It's a 40-second video.
Okay. Oh, it's a 40-second magic.
Yeah, the videos are all about a minute. Like the longest one we did was probably like 2-ish minutes, but they're all usually under a minute. They're all quick videos.
Okay, that makes much more sense that you were able to do 112 of them than I was imagining it being like a half-hour TV show.
No. I mean, we could have, but we would have hated life.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. So now you're working on a live show now as well.
Yes. We started. It's been I want to say at the end of this month it'll be a year. We've been doing a late night adult magic show called Late Night Magic here in Vegas. I like to describe it as dick jokes and magic tricks. And
I went to sit in Vegas, and it was very entertaining. And you were my favorite part of the show.
Oh, well, thank you.
You were doing stuff that I had never seen anybody in the world do, especially the duct tape manipulation. I was like,
oh yeah.
I was like, nobody does this. Like, that was so
good. That's kind of the point.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, for a while I had my I have an act where I bring a bag of Doritos to life and it attacks me and stuff. I had that in the show, but it was just too long, so we took it out. But yeah, I like doing my own thing. I always tell people I create the magic that I'd want to see if I was in the audience. You know, and I have a weird sense of humor. So but yeah, it's five of us. It is myself, John Shaw, who's kind of more sideshowy, Anna Rose, who's hypnotist mentalism, Mondre, who's dove magician, and Lefty, who's the host. So it's this great, and we just got voted like third place best of Las Vegas magic show, which was cool.
Nice.
And it's a nice little small intimate kind of cabaret feel now. We started in a bigger room and now we're in this smaller room and stuff. But yeah, Vegas hasn't had a late night adult magic show probably in over a decade that people can go see. I will tell you though, it is a weird thought process for sometimes we come out, and one night I remember I came out on stage and the whole room smelled like a dispensary. It was rough. And I'm like, who thinks to themselves, let's get trashed and go see a magic show? That'll be a good idea.
Isn't that better? Yeah, that's a better way.
Well, the audience in your show, 100%, like a lot of people, because of the timing and everything. Like that was certainly the objective prior to the show.
I mean, we got their money once they're in there, it's fine. But as a performer, it sucks to have the audience just kind of like,
oh yeah,
the whole time. You're like, ugh.
I remember I went and watched a friend perform. He was like, hey, I'm performing at this place. Come watch. So it was close by. So I went, and it was a vape lounge. And I was like, oh my goodness. It's like, first, this is when it was not legal in Canada. So these were like operating in the gray area, they would say, because they weren't selling product. They were just allowing you to smoke in there. So I'm sitting in there the whole time going, are the police coming? Like, because they were busting all these places, right? Like, or waiting outside and busting people. And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I'm here to watch my friend do magic. And like, so sitting here the whole time, and people are not reacting to anything because they're just like,
well, even before it was legal here, that's how Vegas is. We discuss it a lot. We always try to figure out, you can do the same show every week, every day, and the crowd will be different every time. And I think I figured out the reason why. Because Vegas, we get everybody else's jerks. So, like, Vegas is different regions, different countries, different cities. react differently to entertainment. Like if you have a theater, there's a guy down in Hot Springs, Arkansas. His name is Maxwell Blade. He's got his show tuned to that region and the people who come and visit, but mostly that region of the area. So you end up, he knows how to get reactions and stuff in there. But with Vegas, we get people from Ireland, China, the UK, Arizona, New York, and so because everybody reacts differently, one night you'll have you'll get just the stars will align and everybody in the show is into it because they get it. But then you get people from other countries who, like I remember when I performed in China, I figured out how to get them to applaud for stuff. And that was you bow. You sit there and you do a deep bow and they go, oh, he's done. And you're like, once I figured that out, it made life a lot easier, but you have to know these things. And so because we get everybody from different places every night, the response to our show is different every night. And if you're not used to it, it can be very frustrating for some people.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Your set, it's probably, at least in the set that you're doing in that show, it's probably a little bit easier for you in that you're doing a silent act. So you kind of just go through your choreography, do your act, and then come back later on, do another silent set. But for the people that are like Anna Rose, who has to interact directly with people, and they're all just trashed. Watching her hypnotize people who were drunk to understand they were even in hypnosis.
Well, and here's what's interesting: like guys like John Shaw. John Shaw is very extreme. You know, he looks like the guy who would do the stuff he's doing, right? Mm-hmm. And then you've got me, who's doing kind of weird avant-garde stuff, and so it's interesting. Some nights sometimes we'll come off stage and we'll be like, oh, tonight was John. Like there's some nights we'll have a magic crowd and some nights we'll have a comedy crowd. Some nights the audience is responding super great to the comedy and the dirty jokes, and they don't care about the magic. And so by the end of John Shaw's act, we can look at each other backstage and go, comedy crowd. And so some nights, but also some nights they just pick a performer they connect with. And a lot of times it's Anna Rose. And because Anna Rose is like it's weird. She's like the safe space in between all the weirdos and dirty jokes. Yeah. But she's also so very honest and wholesome that people just connect with her when they haven't connected with anybody else in the show. So it's almost like this breathing room for the audience, depending on the night. And again, because she's a talking act, some nights they love her and hate the rest of us because we're doing magic. It's a weird thing. It's
definitely very wholesome in comparison to like John like hanging stuff from his eyelids. Because I mean, I remember her jokes were a lot about like growing up in Iowa?
Iowa,
and how nobody knows anything about Iowa and stuff. And he was like, this is like very normal compared to the rest of the show.
Yeah, but she hides some dirty jokes and some swear words in there for the people who are there for that. But it's it's a very interesting. But but the show was designed that way. It's like, hey. There's a joke about the guy grew up in Texas, so there's a joke about Texas, like, you don't like the weather in Texas, wait 10 minutes. Well, that's kind of what our show is. Our show is like, don't like this act? Wait 10 minutes. There's another one. Maybe you'll like that one.
Yeah.
It's such an eclectic, very varied mix, between you guys, because like you have Mondre going in there and doing very serious, like FISM award-winning style, magic dove act. And it's just entirely different from the from the whole rest of the vibe. Every single person brings a totally different show to the show.
Yeah. And that's all by design. And one of the big things that was important to us when we were putting the show together, because Lefty called me up and he's like, we're gonna do a show. And I go, good. I want it to be a show. I don't want it to be like a comedy club where you're like, here's your next act. And you never see those guys again. We wanted to intermingle in between. Like Lefty comes out during my act. All three of us come out during Anna's act. The only person who doesn't do it is Mondre because he's the closer and we want to leave him for a surprise. So, but we all kind of pop in and out of each other's acts to make it look like it's a cast and it's a show, which is also very rare, I think, in the magic world in general, because magicians are very lonely, solitary creatures.
Yeah. When that's the problem, like when I've watched other shows that do what you guys are doing, like bringing everybody together, like you said, it's very segmented, and it's like this performer is doing 10 minutes, and then we're on to the next performer. Or they may have something right at the start that has everybody. But I'm always like, why are people not combining their skills? Like, they're such great performers. If they together would be like, If they just did that first routine over and over and over, it would be incredible. But it's like, now everybody needs their 2 cents, you know?
Yeah. Their Masters of Illusion kind of did that when they were running here at Bally's. They needed a director really badly, but you know, nobody pays me for my opinion in that show, so what, I didn't care. But it's like, give me money, I can fix it. No? All right, I don't, fine, whatever. But they did okay with it. Like, there was definitely times the acts worked together, but they never they would show up on stage together, but they never mingled really. And that was the thing. It's like, again, it never felt like a cast except in a few spots, but then it just felt like they put 2 performers together to do something. And it was, but that's just how a lot of those shows are. And one of the things we get a lot coming from other magicians and performers is they come to the show and afterwards go, I loved how you guys all interacted with each other. And I'm like, is that such a weird thing that's the novelty of our show? Like, that should be the norm. Why is that weird?
Yeah.
And like, if you went to see a play and all of the characters only did monologues and just never looked at each other, it would be a very strange experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that's, that sets your show apart is the fact that all of the people that are a part of that show are very distinct personalities and are being themselves and doing magic that is unique to themselves. Whereas, like, if you were to compare it to, for example, The Illusionist, which is great in its own right, but The Illusionist, they have different performers each time, but they kind of strip away the name of those performers and make them the manipulator, or, if there's a woman, it's usually the sorceress or something. Like, they kind of like put them into that category, and, you are filling a slot in this show that is around the world, and we have a bunch of different The Illusionists,
Right.
So,
well, and when the show first came out, when The Illusionists first came out, that was a great idea. But as they kind of franchised and splintered, then it became too much of a plug and play thing. But when the original show, I think, was really solid from everything I heard. And then as they cut more things down and things got cheaper and they were paying people less, I think the show, obviously, like any show, it starts to suffer. It's like when people who go watch it, like when they make a rip-off Cirque show and they try to tour it, and it's like you go watch it and go, oh yeah, I can see why Cirque du Soleil is at the top of their game, because they put the money, the time, the effort, and the people, and they pay whatever it takes. Not like they used to, like nobody does, but there's a definite difference. You can tell when somebody tries to cheap out on a copy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the problem with the Cirque stuff, is there are so many of those. And I mean, I'm sure you get it. I just got a Facebook message yesterday from someone in some other country that is part of a circus that they need me to send them money and stuff, and they're trying to do what Cirque du Soleil does. And I'm like, sending me all these videos and stuff. I'm like, I'm not sending you money,
Yeah.
My friend, please send us money. Like,
join my Kickstarter. Nah, I'm good. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my Kickstarter for a show that may or may not ever come to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, better than a custom deck of cards. Whoops.
Oh, we can say that. That's fine.
That's funny.
I mean,
well, do you think it's that time?
I think it's that time.
Okay. Oh no, sorry. Sorry, I've never seen the show. I don't know if that's what's going on.
Time in a little bit, but it's this time.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time. It's time for 20 questions. It's time for 20 questions. Yeah. It's time for 20 questions. It's time for 20 questions. Yeah. Put 2 minutes on the clock. 2 minutes on the clock. Put 2 minutes on the clock. 2 minutes on the clock. Here we go.
Bizzaro, I expected you to be dancing when I came back, but
these colors don't dance.
You're not grooving?
Come on, that hat. It's like a classic, like Michael Jackson, like,
Linux.
Criminal.
An 80-year-old old lady.
Yeah, that's true.
That was new groove. All right. Now,
come on, Smooth Criminal.
So I don't know if I could pick this up from the theme song or not. This involves some sort of questions, and there's a number of them.
20 of them.
Yeah, you're halfway there.
You're happy.
Well, I'm gonna need my manager for this part.
Who the hell thinks they can talk to Bizzaro without Shocker in the room? God damn it! Where's my 25%? I want 25%. Okay, thank you. All right.
You can't get the Shocker for 20 questions as well.
Sure, why not? You want to answer 20 questions?
Without a lawyer present, I might only answer 15.
All right, so actually,
you can have him on just by himself sometime though, because he just did Fool Us and did really well.
That would be
100%.
Love to have you on, man.
We'd love to have you on.
But you can get the cheap version right.
That's
now.
right. You're getting the free version now. So
yeah, so I can set it to 4 minutes, and we can do the double 20 questions if we want.
Yeah, let's do double 20. If
So-
you guys are up for it.
So the way 20 questions works is not only do you have to answer 20 questions, you might not get through all of them because we have a timer set and we're comparing. We have a leaderboard of all of our guests, and we're seeing how you rank, how fast you can answer all of these questions as honestly as possible. So we got-
As honestly as possible.
As honestly, too.
Because the problem with me answering questions is if I can do it shorter, is I just give short answers.
This is
So let's see what happens.
This is an internal quandary you'll have to solve yourself.
So wait, am I shutting up during yours and I got my own, or am I jumping in and taking your time away?
We're going to ask
knows?
the question once, and then we'll have both of you give an answer.
Okay.
Do you want to sit in a chair, or do you want to?
Nah,
Both of you give an individual answer to yourself. All right.
All right.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
I'm all ready.
Question 1.
Here we go. Dream vacation destination.
I'm a big fan. I mean, I've already been there, but I love New Orleans. I'd like to go there anytime I get the chance. But I already know his answer.
No, I'm going to Japan, man.
Yep.
I'm gonna Godzilla that country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going to Japan to go to Disneyland.
Damn right.
Nice.
Biggest pet peeve.
How many questions you got time for here? We got
Let me get my list.
currently Facebook magicians or ones that used to be.
Getting asked stupid questions. No, having to repeat myself over basic stuff gets on my tits.
Wait, what
pretty
does?
good.
Anyway,
biggest mistake during a performance.
I fell off stage once. I fell off of a stage.
well, I didn't do it, but this guy I work with, Greg, took a nap in his hotel room in between sets and a corporate gig because Greg thought he had 2 hours between, but apparently he had 45 minutes after they told him that. So Greg was napping without his pants on when he should have been on stage once.
Nice.
Greg's an idiot.
What always
Still
makes
got
you
paid.
laugh?
So.
What always makes you laugh?
Farts at inappropriate times.
My friend Sid.
Nice.
Sid.
What's your secret talent?
Dance Revolution.
Nice.
I'm like a 12-year-old Asian boy at that game. I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't know how much trouble that gets me into, but
It's after dark. We're good. All access.
I mean, I guess it's more of a secret now to people here. I'm an artist. I can draw.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the first time you ever saw a magic trick?
Ooh, I don't remember because I kind of got into magic before seeing it. Like I actually kind of learned magic, so like I knew what a thumb tip was. I already knew how it worked before I saw somebody do it, and so that I don't have that experience other people have, so I don't know what other people are experiencing. But yeah, it was I think I saw a magician when I was a kid at our school, but I already into magic at that point, so I don't know if that counts. Some rando guy.
I'm going to say Wizzo from the Bozo Show for me is the first one I would really recommend
nice.
seeing magic. Like
Yeah.
that was an impressionable age.
I mean, TV probably. Yeah, I mean, TV is probably Copperfield for me. Yeah.
Yeah. If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Agility. Everybody's like, I want to fly and all that stuff, and I'm like, I want to be able to do cool ass flips.
Greatest answer.
Parkour. I'm going to say Ra's al Ghul. I just want to be immortal. I mean, it's going to happen anyway, but I'm just going to put it out there now that I will be immortal.
Right now. Dream performance venue.
What was that?
Dream performance venue.
Oh, the dream.
Oh man, Cabaret du Monde was my dream one, but it's not on the air anymore. I would have loved to have done Cabaret du Monde.
Halloween Horror Nights, Universal Studios, where that is a goal. We are getting Shock and Bizarre in there one of these days.
Yeah.
Nice. Most cherished memory.
It's not magic based.
No, that's
I don't think I want to talk about it.
No,
I got nothing. I'm going to say there was a really nice girl back in Texas, and I'll just leave the memory at that, and we won't say another word.
Sorry, viewers at home, we're gross. All right.
She made me cookies. What are you talking about, you sicko?
I know.
favorite food?
Lasagna.
Pizza.
Favorite movie?
Hudson Hawk.
Ooh, fuck.
Hurry. 2 seconds.
Rounders. I just watched. I love Rounders.
All right.
Nice.
All right. So we only you guys made it through the least questions of any group
Of all time.
Usually we have two.
We go for quality, not quantity. Thank you very much.
We have very high quality answers. Now the next question was.
Well, the rest of the answers were going to be 46, Orlando, Richard Nixon, Marilyn Manson, Red, and I'm not racist.
And all my answers are in a box locked, hanging in the corner of the room over there with a spotlight on it.
Yeah. Off by one. The next question, I think, for both of you is, what's the worst job you ever had?
Magician. I actually...
You haven't had a lot of normal jobs.
No, I've never actually had a normal job. I have only ever worked in the entertainment business, so I've never had anything that I was like, that was the worst. I've done gigs that were terrible, but I've never had a job that I was like, I never would do this ever again.
I worked in a pizza kitchen once when I just got out of college and was trying to be a magical waiter. And they didn't hire me for magic or waitering. And I washed dishes for about a week and went, why the hell am I here? And then I left after taking a free pizza because it was a pizza restaurant.
Right. Yeah.
Got to get free pizza.
Absolutely.
Now, let me ask to you guys, Blaze, it sounds like you're very far away on your mic. I don't know if it's just me.
Is that for everybody?
It's really low.
Yeah, he's a little low. But I mean, everybody's a little low compared to this.
Once I come in the room, everybody sounds
one shot
quiet.
into the room. It's true.
I can adjust my my volume here.
Yeah, for some reason it just seems like you're further away today. But but let me ask you guys this question while he's doing that.
Yeah.
Would you rather look like a potato or feel like a potato?
I'm okay feeling like one.
You know, if you knew most of how I spend my day, I think feeling like a potato is.
Now, when you say feeling like a potato, do you mean like the skin texture? Do you mean squishy?
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering, like,
you mean buttered on the inside and served at Red Lobster? Because I mean, I've done that once.
Yeah. Fully stuffed. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I've seen people who tan so much they look like potatoes, and that's not a good look.
Oh, absolutely.
That is true.
Yeah. I think I should be better now.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. Now, normally we wouldn't do this segment until later, but
I think you have to. Yeah,
I think we have to because we just found out your favorite food, Bizzaro.
Oh,
and we have a very important question for you. You remember your favorite food, right? It was what?
Lasagna for me. Pizza.
Lasagna!
Lasagna!
What's your favorite genre of lasagna?
Meat.
Lasagna.
Veggie.
Lasagna.
Plain.
Lasagna.
Saucy.
Lasagna. What's your favorite genre of lasagna? Keller.
Well, Bizarro's gone.
Good.
No, do I have that puppet filter on? Damn it!
Oh
It
yeah.
happens all the time.
It's like X's Twitch chat, but
Yeah.
you just can't
Hold
turn
on,
the filter off.
Let me try to fix that. Hold on. There we go. I fixed it. All right.
Oh, nice. I did
Oh,
see
my
a little
God.
shocker dancing in the background.
A little
He
shocker
was doing the
dance.
dance moves during
Oh
that.
my god.
There'll always be a little bit of dancing. I can be helped.
So
I have a
It was
feeling this is
almost
gonna.
Dance
This is,
Dance Revolution.
this is
in the
also a perfect time to announce that at long last, Bizarro's favorite food is lasagna. The perfect time that lasagna has come up in conversation before the lasagna segment. And we just launched right now. What's your favorite genre of lasagna merch? On allaccessmagic.com/shop. You can get your lasagna mathematics hoodie. Wait, we shouldn't get to that just yet. We've got an important question for you later.
Yeah, it's very true.
We've got what's your favorite genre of lasagna t-shirts as well as hoodies. Let me get back to the shop. Here we are. So look at these sexy hoodies in all sizes.
Also, who are those random people sporting those hoodies?
Oh, we're gonna be sporting them real soon.
Oh, you said sporting a hoodie. Yeah. You said sporting a hoodie. I heard that completely different.
Yeah.
Now, what's your favorite genre of lasagna? We have an important question for you, Biz, and we need to know.
Gee, I wonder what the question is.
So, what is your favorite?
What would you say is your favorite genre of lasagna?
This is a very complicated answer for me because probably my favorite lasagna, other than like actual home cooked, like go to Italy and have it kind of stuff, like the kind you can get in stores, I can't eat anymore.
Oh,
yeah. So here's the deal. Okay, here's the deal. It might be a little dumb. I am not any kind of activist in any way, shape, or form, right? However, there's a company called Nestle who thinks that water is not a human right, and they are also they're a very evil corporation. But unfortunately, they own a lot of other companies, right? So Nestle makes Butterfinger, and they make Kit Kat in everywhere but America. I don't know what that's about, but anyway, they own the company Stouffer's, and I love Stouffer's lasagna. And because I decided to stop buying Nestle products because one person makes a difference, obviously, I have not had it in so long because I've just boycotted Nestle, and I'm so angry.
Wow.
My favorite like lasagna to make for myself, I can't have anymore.
Is
so
immoral lasagna. Wow.
but
you like hatred lasagna.
Oh,
yeah.
You like
now, having said that,
you like lasagna without human rights.
Yes. Yeah. Having said that, I will not buy it. But if somebody else buys it and gives it to me, I'll eat it because I can't stop them from doing it.
Magic Live, it's happening.
Well, yes. So that's the thing. We're going to do an episode of All Access Magic at Magic Live, and I know you're always around Magic Live.
Oh yeah, if I'm in town, I'm there.
Yeah, so we want to do like a super long episode with a ton of different magicians that day when we do it. But we want to get lasagna delivered to the hotel room or wherever we're shooting and do like lasagna eating contests and just eat lasagna
I'm there.
all day.
I'm down.
So,
yeah.
I will do. Here's what you need to do. You need to do the no hands, no utensils lasagna eating contest, like bobbing for apples.
Oh,
I will
do that.
Something in the lasagna,
right? Yeah,
hide something the first one to get.
We'll even build you an escape room puzzle somebody has to solve to get a lasagna out of something.
This is all.
That is incredible.
Incredible.
All right, we will be talking to you guys. I just booked my flight and stuff yesterday, so I'll be talking to you guys before getting the lowdown.
Yeah, Dawn agrees. I guess that they're also boycotting Nestle, or at least against them, and they're very sad face that Nestle owns Stouffer.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah,
you just wrecked lasagna from Stouffer's for a lot of people watching the podcast.
Get wrecked.
Marie Callender's isn't too bad, but Stouffer's is definitely my go-to.
Well, we'll have to chat with you to where we can, find. I mean, I guess we can ask the Orleans to make us lasagna, but we got to get a lot of lasagna and some good stuff. So
yeah.
But while we're there, or at least a place to cook it.
Right. I mean, you could probably. I mean, I know people who cook in town. You could probably get it like somebody to cook it and deliver it if you paid the money.
I'm pretty sure we can get a lasagna catering thing going on here. We're in Vegas.
We need a wide assortment of genres as well.
With lasagna for probably about the same price. I'm just going to throw that out there right now.
Well,
look at Blaze. He's like, really? Tell me more.
Lasagna strippers, they just take a layer of noodle off and a layer of sauce, another layer of noodle, and.
I was going to say, I was just on a cruise ship last week. So, the buffet, they have servers now. So we need servers as well, because you can't you can't let magicians from all over the world be touching your lasagna. So
no, you got to be COVID compliant too. I mean, you got to have people wearing masks.
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to eat the lasagna through the mask.
That's how you move from the Omicron to the Mamma Mia variant if you're not careful.
You heard it here first.
Mamma
We
mia.
are starting the
I
Mamma
gotta
Mia
be-
variant.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and we're gonna try to have as many
Oreo
different
virus.
genres, a wide assortment of genres at Magic Live, because we've got. I mean, this is literally like episode 50 something that we've asked, "What's your favorite genre of lasagna?" We did it on the previous podcast, Magic After Dark, and now on All Access Magic. It's a staple. It's one of our.
I love it.
favorite
I love
segments.
it. You know what? It beats getting asked, "Hey, how did you get started in Magic?"
Yeah.
That's why we throw it in the 20 questions and say, "Get it over with as fast as possible."
Right?
Yeah. We don't like
Or in
to
our
talk
case,
about
not
the
as fast as
normal-
I know. We get 6 questions.
Yeah, we don't. We usually. I told you before you came on. They said we don't really like to talk about the normal Magic stuff. Every podcast is going to say, where did you get started? What
What's your
trick are you
favorite
working on right
trick?
now? And it's like I told you, we like to get to know the performer behind the scenes, who they are
Right.
off stage, because most people only see us on stage, and so they know our persona. I'll say our
Right.
stage persona. Because a lot of guys are not themselves and stuff, and so
Yeah.
it's for us and our viewers. I know they've always messaged us appreciating getting to see who people are behind the scenes. So
Yeah, and there's definitely. I was just talking with somebody about this the other day, actually, about how a lot of magicians think that being a magician is their identity, and it's like what you do is not who you are.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys lean very heavily into it, and there's definitely people who it's very difficult to get them to drop the facade and stop believing their own BS.
yeah. Well, I mean, I can really read minds, but
Sure.
yeah.
What am I thinking right now?
You're thinking about Stouffer's
Lasagna.
Lasagna. We've embedded it into your mind. It's called influence.
Subliminally influenced you to think of it. Yeah.
No, and I think that's the fun part about it. Like I said before we came on, you and me were talking a little bit about escape room stuff.
Yeah.
And that's something that no one that saw you on stage would know. Right. And so, favorite genre of lasagna. We ask that because we like to hear someone's creative answer. We get a lot of magicians that are like me. And it's like, well, now that's not what we want.
Right.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
have you guys answered that on air? Do your viewers know what yours are?
We did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But we also have a follow-up question to that
We
question.
do always have a follow-up to the lasagna question. So
Okay.
now that we know that your favorite is a Stouffer's, even though, well, if you were, what's your second favorite? One that I don't feel immoral to now keep advertising.
I mean, I don't. Probably homemade at that point.
Homemade.
It's like-
Okay. So this is perfect. So you bake a lasagna yourself. As we know from the distinction from Takumi, this makes a big difference. So you bake a lasagna yourself,
Mhm.
and then you bake a second lasagna. Now, if you have 2 identical lasagnas that you've just made, Ryan, do you want to take it away from here?
And you take second said lasagna and place it atop the first baked lasagna.
All right.
Do you now have 1 lasagna or 2?
Depends if you take them out of the tray first or not. I mean, if they're in a
New
bit, they're
criteria.
usually in a tray or a container. Are we talking in or out of the container? I mean,
Well, I
Let's say out
assume
of
that
the-
in order to stack this one on top of the other one, you have to take it out of the tray for a moment
take
at
it out.
least and put it on top of the other.
I would say you've now made a Voltron lasagna.
Voltron.
I would say
I like
Voltron lasagna. You go from 7 layer to 14 layer, and you just you charge more for it, right? I mean, that's how it works, isn't it? But
That's it.
I would say you're making Voltron lasagna at that point.
Wow.
That has got to go in the book somewhere. Voltron lasagna. I
Voltron
like that's a
lasagna.
word that has
But
not been used.
Notice
yet
that you
for
said
this-
you are
for this
making Voltron lasagna, which makes me think as though you are sounding like your answer is one singular Voltron.
I would say so, yes. I would say so. Yes.
So that proves our lasagna mathematics hoodie is right on the money.
Yeah, one monster Voltron that'll
Now I want to see Voltron made out of lasagna. I want to see like lions dripping with lasagna, and that'll be your next T-shirt. Voltron lasagna.
I like Garvin says, all this lasagna talk is making me very hungry. Me too.
They are not alone.
Yeah. I might have to go have some lasagna after this, but
yeah. And we're still on the vegan lasagna train, which is so sad that we can't even eat all of the lasagna that we recommend to everyone.
Yeah.
I've had both. I've had a vegan lasagna, I've had meat. If it's made right, they're both good. They're both equally as tasty.
Yeah, my neighbor makes an amazing one and invites us over all the time to have it, and it's so good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, I did some work with some more work with Adam Trent when he had we were over in Europe doing a show called The Road Trick, and we were in Italy, and we got treated to handmade that day some old Italian lady making food for us. It was so good. Like, that was one of those bucket list things where you're like, eat real Italian food in Italy.
Nothing beats lasagna.
If I had a list, that would be on it.
Nice. That's the list. I mean, yeah, anytime you can go to where it's authentically made.
Yeah.
You know,
well, you say that, but I had a hamburger in Hamburg and it was gross. So
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was not great.
Now, I've been informed that like the original hamburger is apparently from a place that's in Connecticut. I haven't visited there.
I think the American hamburger is
the original American hamburger.
Yeah.
And I haven't visited there, but from how it's been described to me, it's like a steamed hamburger that's on like regular bread. And I'm like, this original does not mean good, you know, like it does not, like it seems like the worst and the first is here in this state.
Well, that's kind of like, do you know, on that note, because I'm also it seems to be the Oreo guy. Did you know Oreo is not the original?
Oh,
the
really?
original chocolate sandwich cookie was made by a company. They were called Hydrox. Now,
well, that sounds like a medical product.
Right. It sounds like a cleaning product. And I think that might have been their problem.
Yeah.
And so I think Nabisco was like, hey, this is really good. We're going to do it better. And we're going to call it something that people won't think is something for to scrub their kitchen with. So, but it's interesting how
I got some Lysol and some Hydrox in my cabinet. Yeah.
Which one do you want? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one you want to put in your mouth?
Yeah. So it depends who your president is at the time. Oh,
right. That's funny. My friend Misty used to say something. Used to have a saying. Who we talked about this. It's like you don't, just because you're the first one to break through something doesn't mean you're going to be the one who gets noticed for it. It's like you're going to end up with a bloody nose and covered in plaster, and the next person's just going to step through and take all the credit. And I'm like, that's kind of true.
Yeah,
it happens a lot. It doesn't always happen, but it happens a lot.
No, definitely. That's a great way of looking at things, for sure.
Yeah. So how does one avoid that as someone who's a serial creator of magic? Have you been burned a lot in the past? And obviously you don't need to get into specifics that you don't want to, but like,
I mean, I've definitely had people take credit for things that were my idea that they ended up, that we had an agreement that they were supposed to credit me and they didn't. Like, I've had that happen. I've had people take credit for things. People who claim, I've had people teach, like there's a guy online who taught one of my tricks without permission as part of his like easy magic you could learn. And it's, it's one of those things where you see that stuff and you kind of go, well, at least I know who I'm dealing with now and I know who to avoid. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, but also, I mean, I've definitely had some stuff there's independent creation absolutely happens, and there are ways to sometimes prove it that it is or isn't. Like, there are ways to prove that people knew of things ahead of time, but not always. And you just have to, and I remember Andrew Main and I had a conversation about this years and years ago. We were talking about how, and I think he was one who said, it's like the thieves will always be a couple steps behind the innovators, because the innovators will keep innovating and the thieves can only take what the innovators release, and then the innovators will keep improving. So, there's people who will always take other people's ideas and run with it, but there are improvements upon it. Like, I've seen people take stuff and build upon it and do very good ideas. But that becomes somebody else's idea. That becomes a variant. Like, that becomes theirs, right? Taking something and making it their own is different than just retreading the same ground, obviously.
Yeah.
So it sucks, but at the same time, you just kind of, unless it's very damaging to you, if it's hurtful to you in like monetarily or reputation wise, sometimes you just kind of go, whatever, have it, knock yourself out. People will know who the original is, but also we live in an age now where you can film something, have it on an unlisted video on YouTube, and you can have a timestamp on it. It's like,
it's very true.
Yeah, it's like I know Justin Miller is a big fan of that. It's just put up on. He said he's got like so many unlisted YouTube videos of ideas, but there is something to be said for having a timestamp on something now. I mean, that's one good thing about some of these online magic lectures. You can release something that you don't do, or nobody else is going to do, but you now have a place you can look and it's the old joke of if you want to hide something, put it in print. But the new print is downloads and videos. So
I think that would still be hard to fight though. Like if someone came up with the idea independently and you said, "Oh, I have it timestamped here," it's like, well, if you're not putting it out that you came up with,
there is something to be said about first to market versus first for idea. That is also a problem. However, there's two ways you can react to finding out somebody thought of something before you. You can go, oh crap, I'll either bring them in on it or not do it, or you say to them and do it anyway. Like that's really And the people
and that's what I mean.
Are not
that's the only
true.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I say that is because you see that happen in magic all the time. Like I had a friend of mine, released a trick with a company. They hadn't released it yet. And someone did a video that was very close to it on Instagram. And so they contacted them and said, hey, and he was like, I'm selling this product soon. And they were like, we already have this product. It's already been filmed. Here's all the trailer. Here's everything. And the guy's like, it's different enough. I'm going to put it out still. And it's like, it's not. It's like the exact same thing, And he's like, well, the handling is different. And it's like,
well,
it's the exact same.
It's the old magic joke where it's like, well, mine's different because I'm using a blue deck and not a red deck. Like that is legit thinking.
Yeah.
There's so much of that, which is crazy.
We got a question from Smoke Mist One. Is getting a reaction, getting a rise out of you.
That's it.
So
context
one of my many trips to China, we were in Inner Mongolia, which is still technically China, and they had some of the food we had was a camel stew pumpkin concoction, and the camel meat was actually really good. It was actually quite tasty.
Now the question is,
pumpkin I'm not a fan of, just in general. I'm not a basic white girl, but the camel meat was quite nice.
What now? Was it hump meat or was it like?
It wasn't moving. I couldn't tell.
It hump meat?
You gotta ask where that meat came from. Was it from
hump meat? Was my nickname in college.
Oh my god! Eating hump meat on hump day.
Yeah,
that's it. It happened to just be a Wednesday night, and I found some camel hump, camel hump stew.
That's how we do it.
Yeah, but I ate quite a bit to answer his questions.
Now, I'm curious. Do you have kind of as you're going out to when you're going out to create an effect, do you have a set kind of creative process that allows you to go from idea to reality, or is it different at all different points? Do you kind of get inspiration at different points?
I mean, usually it's the idea first. It's the effect first. It's me thinking to myself, oh, wouldn't it be funny or cool or neat if I did this? So it's usually, I don't worry about method. I think of the visual, what I want the audience to experience, what I want, and then I work to get as close to that as possible, which sometimes can happen in as little as a day, and sometimes it'll take 2 years. Like I have a video on my Instagram, and I think I have it on my Facebook somewhere, and maybe my YouTube. It's where I know I have it on my YouTube, where I take an empty package of Oreos and I shake it, and it fills instantly, right? And I had that idea, and I tried to figure out method for it. And I couldn't come up with a good method until I was in a tool store. I would walk around a tool store because I walk around tool stores, art stores, all sorts of craft stores, pet stores. I walk all sorts of stores looking at stuff. And I walked by and went, those look like, I had the idea. So, sometimes an idea it's really about knowing as much about the world around you as possible, because not every answer to a creation is in the magic box. Sometimes it's in the Home Depot box. Sometimes it's in somewhere else. So, but my process just is me working at it until I get what I want, or as close. I try to get as close as I can to what I want. So I just work at it and try out different stuff. And sometimes you don't get what you want and you end up creating something different, which has happened. And then you, like my refilling Oreo trick happened because I was trying to have, I eventually figured this out, but I had a method for getting a signed coin into a freely selected Oreo in the cream, right? So you twist it open and there's their coin inside. And the method I had didn't work. So I had a bunch of Oreos and stuff, and I went, oh, what else can I do with Oreos? And then I went, ooh, I know I can make them refill. So from failing at that, it led to that, and then I revisited the other thing later and finally came up with a method for it. But for me, it's just kind of like, and I'll tell you where I figure out most of my stuff. Like most of my creativeness happens in the shower. It is my Zen zone for some reason.
Always.
I don't know what it is, but if I've solved so many problems and created so much stuff just standing in the shower and thinking.
See, Ryan, this is why the shower is my office. I told you.
Right? Yeah.
No. So Bizzaro sits in the shower in peace, like I do. Blaze, on the other hand,
the majority of the time.
Phone calls while he's in the shower.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean,
yeah. That
he's eating lasagna. He's taking phone calls.
He must have like a stool
guy,
in his shower that he just like sits down. He's like got it on speakerphone, like
I do have a shelf. I have a shelf that I prop it up on so then I can like speakerphone, and then
I'm just glad that the video never comes on.
Right? It's like he's FaceTiming you. You turn it on. You're like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
what are you doing in my shower, man?
Yesterday, he called me, and then I heard the water, and I was like, just call me back.
If he ever says, let's take a meeting in my office, say no.
That's it. Come into my office.
At this point, I do it specifically because I know how much it ticks off Ryan when I'm in the middle of a conversation, and then the sound quality just gets worse, and he's just like, is there water everywhere?
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, dude, why are you taking a shower and talking to me? It's just weird.
I mean, it's not weird if you don't think about it.
That's the problem, is when I hear water, I'm thinking about it.
No words, only feelings.
yeah, exactly. So bad.
We're here together in this moment, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're ever on 1v1 Magic and chatting with Blaze on the Discord, and you see his video go off, but you hear water, you know he's in the shower.
All of a sudden, it sounds like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that what it's like? Because I never get to hear what it's like on the other end, because none of my other friends are taking calls.
No one takes showers while they're on the phone.
Never experienced what it's like on the other end. Is that what it sounds like? Just like a crumpling bag of chips?
100%. 100%.
You're just struggling to get through this call.
That's like yesterday. I was just like, just call me back later. It's like, I'm gonna leave now.
Yeah, but now I take it as a challenge to see if you'll notice.
yeah. He's like, bro, I just took a whole shower and you didn't even notice. Like, I win.
Score.
He's got a chart at home actually. If you just pan the video camera to your right, you'll see Ryan 23, Blaze 0 still. He's working for it. He's trying.
I'm trying to get to where you are.
Like, I will get on the board one day.
Oh my god.
Bizzaro, do you ever call anyone while you're in the shower?
I don't call anybody while I'm in the shower. I'm thinking.
There you go.
Yeah. No, it's a good thinking. It's a very good creative space.
Have you ever
There's
eaten a sandwich? Have you ever just been so depressed you just make a sandwich, you just stand in the shower eating it, and you just like not getting it wet, but you just eat the sandwich and you're just like, whatever. I don't care about life.
Okay, now what's worse,
like
taking
Blaze
calls
is
or
try
eating
this.
a sandwich in the shower? Okay.
I'm not saying I've done it. I'm just wondering. I'm asking for a friend.
I've not done. It's a very specific friend. I've not done the I've not done the eating a sandwich in the shower because I would worry about, even regardless of if you touch the sandwich to the water, there's the element of all of the humidity in there, man. Like,
Yeah.
How hot are your damn showers?
You're sogging up the bread.
Well, you see, Bizzaro lives in Vegas, so it's hot everywhere. So his shower is pretty cold.
Not right now. It gets below freezing this time of year at night. It is cold.
I was actually in Vegas one time when I was working with Kalen, and it was snowing in Vegas, and it was colder in Vegas at that point than it was in Toronto.
What did I say to somebody the other day? So I have a friend of mine from Canada here. I said, "What is it for you? 12 degrees right now?"
Yeah. Like this. Actually, I was in Saskatchewan a few weeks ago, and I woke up and it was -20 out. Like,
there is a point. There's a point in both temperature scales, Fahrenheit and Celsius, where they both agree it is too cold to live, and that is -40. They both go, "Why are you here?"
Oh yeah. Well, and that's it. It was -20 was just the temperature. That's without the wind chill.
Yeah.
Right. So it's probably like 35 or something like that. Like stupid, just stupid. I was like, I'm gonna get out.
For us,
like,
that would actually be around R0, I think, actually.
Yeah, because I figured out
like 32 is ours freezing for is for your 0.
Yeah. So to get the temperature, when I lived in Vegas for a little bit, so I know you gotta double it, and I think it's double it and add 30.
None of it makes sense.
No. So so it would be 0 for you guys. If it was 35, it'd be double it, so that'd be 0.
Yeah.
And so then 35. So or 32 would be too cold.
Yes.
So
Yes, that's the universal. Yes, it's too cold.
I have friends from Canada who said they did gigs where it was -70. I'm like, who lives at -70?
-70?
Yeah.
I mean, do all their hands look like this because they're falling off from frostbite? Like, what is going on?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
When sleight of hand, you can't move your hands.
Have you ever tried to do magic in the extreme cold? It sucks.
Oh yeah, it does suck. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're from the East Coast. Yeah.
Tigger T says, I live in Acapulco. This is a foreign concept to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's just like, my hands are so sweaty, I can't even grip the cards anymore.
This is a pack of sponges.
Tigger T, I think, is Mary. So Mary, not he, but she. So only because she finally got Instagram after watching the show. She had to get Instagram to follow us on All Access Magic. So
thank you so much for following. Yes, everybody that's not following already, check out at All Access Magic. We post exclusive funny clips. I actually have a clip that's going to be coming out right after this episode from our previous episode, and we've got some hilarious highlights.
I
Who knows what this episode will bring?
Yeah. Oh, there's lots. There's lots. Actually, I said that as well. So we just started the Instagram like last week or 2 weeks ago. And so we're at like 88 followers right now. And obviously we have 60,000 followers on here. So if you're not following All Access Magic on Instagram, make sure to go and follow. We want to hit 100 followers. I said I would set the goal to hit 100 followers by tonight. So if you're not following it, go and follow, and at 100 followers, maybe we'll do a giveaway or something like that. So
I will only post that funny video if we hit 100 tonight.
Yeah. Tigger says
how many to get you to post a video from the shower? How many would
I would do that regardless.
Tigger T says I haven't posted anything on Instagram, but I'm following you guys.
All right, here's what we're doing at Magic Live. We're eating lasagna in the shower in our clothes. We're all getting in the shower and fully dressed, and eating lasagna and having an interview. That's what we're doing.
It's a wet lasagna contest.
I even booked.
You have to be wearing the lasagna shirts.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I think what we should do 100%. Is who can eat their lasagna without getting wet in the shower, and like it's no holds barred. So you can throw the other guy in the water if you want. Like,
oh my gosh!
Who can get their lasagna down the fastest in the shower? That's it.
So we have incorporated UFC into this. We're just
I'm training already, boys. You guys are I'm throwing some arm bars.
On a porcelain floor. It's going to be amazing.
Garvin says we're now at 83. Thank you, Garvin. Thank you. If you are not following us, All Access Magic on Instagram. So make sure to do it. 17 to go. And then you guys see a crazy video tonight. So
now the other world that you're in outside of Magic? Well, you're in many other different worlds, like you were talking about art as well, but escape rooms is something that you are very passionate about. So I'd love to hear about your journey into escape rooms. You started obviously in Magic before that, right? And
I've been doing I got into Magic when I was 6, and then I was like, I want to do it professionally, and I was 13, and I'm 43 now. So I mean, I've been doing it a while. And so about 6 years ago, I did my first escape room. One of the first ones that opened here in Vegas, and I was like, "This is great. We should get in on this." And I convinced Shocker and another magician to start a company called Test Subjects. And we started as a consulting company. And much like Magic, it turns out people don't think there's anything wrong with their art. So we still do consulting, but we also, a lot of what we do is we do a lot of the creative side of stuff. Like all three of us are the creative side of things. But then I'm the main like tech guy. I'm doing all the crazy electronics and building stuff and everything in my garage, and then Shocker builds some stuff as well. But all three of us together create these rooms, and so we've built full rooms from the ground up. We've made about We've made about 7 rooms with 2 more working right now. We have 5 in Reno. We had 3 in Utah, but that shut down because of the state of the world, and we're building 2 for Tennessee. So, and the stuff we do varies from just like custom scenarios, like we'll write the story and then people make their own puzzles based off of what we wrote. We create puzzles for people. We create full rooms, scenarios, but our big thing is custom room creation. Is just creating custom rooms top to bottom. We write the puzzles, write the story, and we do that stuff. So that's one of our big strengths. And it's a lot of fun. And the reason I like it is because escape rooms are magic without the expectation. And what I like to explain is, like, if you're playing a room, and let's say you find a Coke bottle and you have to set it on this coaster, and then a secret door opens over on the wall away from that coaster, and you don't know how electricity works, that's magic. Right? And so you get to watch people react the same way they do to magic tricks as they do in an escape room, because you always have cameras watching people, because people cannot be trusted. Because when you tell somebody, I'm a magician, you've put a barrier between you and them of like, okay, fool me, magic boy, right? Or girl. Let's be inclusive. And so fool me, non-binary individual, whatever you want to do. And so, but with escape rooms, there's no expectation. I mean, even if you've played escape rooms, you don't know what that room's going to do. You have no idea what's going to happen. So getting to make magic that way is great for me. And I get the same joy building and creating as I do from performing. So it's nice to be, and if you're coming, any of you are coming to the SAM convention, they've already advertised this, so I can talk about it. The opening night, we're actually building some escape room experiences for opening night for SAM.
Nice.
Oh, that's really cool.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Literally building them right now. That's what he was doing.
Nice. I remember chatting with you about it in Vegas, and then because I used to work for a website called Escape Room Addicts, where we would go around and review escape rooms. And so I worked with them for about a year, and then I just became way too busy to actually write all the reviews.
Boo-hoo.
I know. Yeah. No, I was like, I would love to come and do all the escape rooms because it was free, which is awesome, because I was doing like 30 in a month and paying for it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd do that in a heartbeat. It'd be great.
Yeah. But the issue was, then they were like, okay, now you got to get together with the team and you got to go home and write the review. And I was like, I just don't have like 2 hours to sit down and write this, couple pages or whatever.
Was this all up in Canada there?
So they have it in the States as well. So you should check out the website. You could probably, there might even be a Las Vegas team. I'm not sure. But I know there's one in LA and stuff as well. And so, even the guys from Canada will travel other places to go.
Right. Well, anytime we go anywhere, we always look at escape rooms. Like, we've done them all over the place. I did a few in China, and boy, those were terrifying because OSHA isn't a thing there. But yeah, no,
that's where they started out, right?
It depends who you talk. It depends who you ask. Different people claim different ownership over it. I mean, for me, it started, with the invention of video games, because they're basically live action video games. So like Myst would have been the first escape room video game, not the first one, but it would have been like one of the big influencers of the escape room world.
for sure. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Because that's always what I heard when I started doing them, and I very quickly became addicted.
Oh yeah,
as you do. But I know because I called you when I was there to see what you would recommend. I love this.
We got some better ones now.
Was I making a face or something? Was I doing something?
I guess you didn't blink for a while, Garvin said.
Oh my gosh, he was concerned.
Your eyes
for
are
my
drying
eye.
out. You need to get in the shower.
I need to get in the shower.
Yeah, no, and I tell people, if anybody watching this has never done an escape room, here's some advice. Do 3 different ones from 3 different locations, because the quality varies from place to place. Yeah. There are places here in Vegas who I would never recommend after doing one. We've never been back, and there are places I would say do all of their rooms. If there's one of the best ones we've ever done is in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at a place called 13th Gate. If you get the chance to go there, do it.
Nice. Yeah, and now here's a question for you. I am a big horror escape room fan.
You are a big whore.
Yeah.
I am a big whore. I only want to do scary rooms because a lot of times, well, it just adds another element, right? When you're not sure, especially the very first one I did was called The Unknown, and there was a live actor in it who did an incredible job. But you go up and they have a video screen there, and they're like, okay, we're going to show you the opening video for Unknown. And this video comes on, and it's penguins sliding on ice. And it's just like, screw you, this is the unknown. And then you get into the back of a cube truck, and you feel the cube truck drive away and stuff. And then it pulls up, and you can hear guys talking in the front and stuff. And then it pulls up, and you're in this basement, like cellar kind of thing. And it was scary. Like,
that's great.
Wow.
I was like, wow, this is so good. Now with COVID and everything, they had to take that room out and I think one of the live actors got like attacked by someone because someone was scared or something, which is crazy. But
that's why you sign waivers. Jesus.
Yeah. That's it. But when I was in Vegas, I did a few, and I actually remember the one place is called like #1 escape rooms in Vegas.
The Cabin.
Yeah, and they have some great rooms. Like
they.
Decent,
so here's something interesting. So it depends on where you're. Some areas do very well with scary rooms. Reno, Nevada, the rooms we built for them, we built them a couple of scary-ish rooms, and I've helped them build a few others and do some tech for that. They said that their scary rooms sell 6 to 1 to their normal ones. And I was like, why? But there's other places where scary rooms don't do well at all. People try to open scary rooms, they don't do well at all. And I have no idea why. I mean, I know somebody from Reno who postulated it's because people in Reno, because of Virginia City and ghost towns, Reno is kind of a spooky place already, and people are used to that stuff, and they're kind of into it. And so maybe that's the answer. I don't know. They opened up, the people who started Saw escape room, which is only okay. Yeah. They started up Blair Witch, which is way better. Blair Witch is much better.
So I've done the Saw escape room twice.
Okay.
And I wouldn't recommend doing it twice, but I had some friends that were doing escape rooms with me, and so they came to Vegas, and I was like, well, if you're here, you have to experience it because it's probably the most high budget escape room I've ever done.
Yes. But Blair Witch is worth doing, at least when I did it, and I think they learned their lesson from Saw.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, because that's the bad thing about Saw is they move you through the room.
Right. Well, that's because they put timers on the rooms, and and they treated it kind of like a haunted house because the owner started in the haunted house business. So but I think he realized that's not what people want. When you put escape room on something, you people want to play an escape room.
Yeah. I mean, it would have been better for them to do like, hey, we have 6 escape rooms, right? And go, because it's such a huge place when you actually go and do the Saw escape room. Like, you're walking through the change room and stuff, and then you're in the butcher shop and stuff originally. They could have really turned that into like 6 escape rooms, and they would have had repeat business.
Well, they are. I've heard the next one they're doing is Chainsaw Massacre. So
okay,
we'll see.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a new place that opened up here called Panic Room, and they're a chain, and they have a couple scary rooms that are pretty good. The decor and the effects are pretty good. The puzzles are only okay, because I find a lot of chain places, a lot of places that are franchises and chains, the puzzles are usually only okay. But they haven't hired me yet to improve them, and I don't know I don't think they can because of the system they use, but.
Yeah, I've only done 2 escape rooms. One was in LA and it was pretty lame, and then the other one was was virtual, actually, like trying out a virtual escape room, and that was interesting because it was the kind where it's like, this person has a camera on their face and you're watching from their perspective.
We did a few of those.
That was interesting. That was fun, but I still feel like I haven't had the proper really good escape room experience.
No. If you come to Vegas, well, I can tell you a few to go to in Vegas for sure. There's one in LA that's worth doing called Lab Rats. That's really good.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Have you been to the one that's on Hollywood Boulevard? I used to walk by it all the time. The Escape Hotel. Yeah.
We've done. I think we did one of their rooms, and it was only okay. I've heard they've improved it since we've played it, and the aesthetic is really nice. And I've heard okay things. I think they're mostly okay.
My friends and I used to just hang out in their lobby and never play into their rooms. It was just It was just a cool place.
The one thing that they do that I really like is they give you a passport that they stamp every time you do a room, so you have a collectible. So you want to do all the rooms to get all the stamps and stuff, and that's something we've talked about. Like if we don't own a business, we don't own a storefront because we don't want to, because we're not adults. But one thing we've talked about, it's like if we were to have a business, like what would we do? Would you do a thing where it's like there's 4 rooms, but you have to do these 3 to unlock the last one? Like how do you make it interesting for people? Give them stuff for achieving goals, getting out. Like, and a lot of places have the little rubber armbands, which is fine, but that's also not that interesting. But some people love them and whatever. But it's like the passport book is something very unique to that establishment. I like the idea behind it. So
I love the idea of like, especially if this is our most tricked out best room and the only way for you to participate in it. I mean, it would be horrible business wise because you'd invest all this money into a room that not as many people do. But at the same time, it would incentivize if it is the best one and all the reviews are like, you have to do this room. And the only way is to escape the other 3, and you have to do a private session each time.
Well, because they'd all be and the idea behind that is they're all story based. They're all part of this story. They seemingly seem like they're not, but once you get in there, you're like, oh, this is all connected somehow. It's almost like Pulp Fiction escape room where it's all interconnected somehow, but you don't know until it all happens.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question: do you have a pet peeve in escape rooms? Because I know I do.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, there's definitely it's one of the big ones is if it's not part of your puzzle flow, screw it down. Don't leave random books that have nothing to do with the game loose. That stuff is irritating. Our big thing,
because it's almost the red herring, right? Where it's like,
well, here's the thing. There's the difference between decor, the players thinking decor is a red herring, and you putting stuff in there intentionally as a red herring, which don't. Period.
I remember the room that we did. There was something at the very beginning where it was like this book fell off of this shelf, but we were so distracted at the time because we were focusing on the first thing that we didn't know that it had fallen. And then we just walk over and this thing is there. So it's like, we didn't know that was any particular clue because there's books everywhere. And so we're looking and just picking up and like trying to take apart. And we ended up on like puzzle 2 spending forever. And eventually they came over the intercom. They're like, you're not even close. And we're like, why?
One of the things because we've given a lot of talks and workshops on escape rooms on creativity and stuff. And one of the big things that our belief is when we're writing a room, especially, is like the story first. It's almost like how we make magic. It's like effect first, method later. So it's story first, then you write the puzzles around the story. So because the story should drive the puzzles should drive the story. And one of the biggest pains in our ass is when we go and we're like, why would you do this to do this? Like, why? We did a room. It was a vampire themed room with like 15 padlocks, which is also not great. But also, your whole point is you're trying to solve these clues to find a stake to kill a vampire. Why would a vampire have his own murder weapon in his house? Why? Also, why is this maglock plate attached to this thing? That's terrible, but whatever. Like,
yeah, that's my biggest pet peeve is when you get. I did one room, and I think it had 80 locks. It was like you have 1 hour, but there's
Doctor,
80 different combos.
Escape room stuff. They asked if we had.
I'm sure if that was.
They asked if we wanted to have a pet peeve about
Pet
escape
peeves
rooms.
of escape rooms. Yes,
Because he builds them, I guarantee you he's got a
pet peeves. Running wires through freaking ceilings is my pet peeve of escape rooms.
Playing them.
Playing them. Yeah, no. Padlocks that don't make sense. Things that just
There you go.
were
directional locks.
Directional
Stop
locks.
with that stuff.
Down, left, right.
Well, the vampire one you were describing, did you also say there were 17
Yes.
padlocks? Oh my God.
Yes.
It just
I was telling him I did
17
one.
padlocks in one escape room.
Yeah.
No. I told him
stupid.
I did one. You had 1 hour to do it. It was a Saw escape room or Saw themed escape room out
Right.
this way, and there was, I kid you not, 80 locks.
8-0.
No.
That's
8-0. You had 60 minutes, and I was like everything was a combination to something else to accommodate. And they actually gave it. We got so close to the end. They said we're going to give you like an extra 5 minutes because no one escapes this room. And I said, yeah, because
wonder
everybody
why.
gets.
No one escapes this
everybody
room
gets
because it's no fun.
Yeah, and
You know
I said
They
to them,
kill themselves from boredom.
that's
They've got a
I
bunch
love
of dead
how
bodies to
escape
clean up
rooms-
in this room. I'm not doing 80 locks.
I love
it.
how they use that as a bragging point. Like, oh, nobody's escaped. It's like, yeah, I can make one that nobody escapes too. That doesn't mean I had fun not escaping your.
Yeah, just
stupid
throw them in a
room.
room and lock the door. Oh, it's an
Yeah,
That's
inescapable room.
literally what I said to them. I said,
One of the things we'll do, because we're us, is we'll do an escape room and then we'll try to meet the owners and talk to them and give advice that's probably not wanted at that moment, but like we love to do it.
Yeah.
And we will talk about the logic of something, and an owner will explain it. It's like, no, you should have known to open the third door because I put a number 3 under the mat of the building that you entered from the garage. You should have remembered that. And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So the escape room is
Oh, yeah.
figuring out your logic,
Yeah.
not an actual escape room at that point.
And I mean, that's one of the clues in the Saw escape room when you get into that like chamber, like the heat chamber, or whatever they want to call it, the cooker.
Now, when we write
And
rooms
it's like-
now, we try to write them that, yeah, you're going to get out or finish the story because that's the ending that makes people happy.
Well, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
Escape rooms have no longer become get out of the room. They've become accomplish a goal.
They've become interactive stories is what they
Right.
really are.
Interactive theater.
Exactly. So a good escape room with enough nudges, someone will get through to the end. If you got people who want to challenge, they don't need the nudges. And if you want to build a really, really hard one, great. Make that a separate room than the one you're trying to sell the general public.
Yeah.
Because you're going to piss them off and they're going to go, escape rooms suck.
Yeah.
Jeez, I don't want to go to one of those again.
Well, I mean, and I mentioned the cabin in the woods earlier, but I remember even there, like one of the pieces is just in a random book, that you need, and it's like, why?
I
why
heard
is
him
this?
talking about that. And no, if you're going to do books in the room, then you make it specific and not that I have to go through 30 different books.
Because that's all it was literally just going through the pages and like shaking the books, and we found something.
We
like,
did. I did a room once where it was like a wizard themed room, and you walk in and there's all these like wand boxes and spell books, and I walked in and went, "Oh man, please tell me these are all screwed down. Please tell me these are all screwed down," and they all were, and I went, "Oh, this is my favorite room that I've done in a long time."
Now,
I got a better pet peeve than that for escape rooms, though.
Yeah.
When the owners accuse you of breaking their shit when you did. So we did an escape room in town. I don't want to say their name, but their initials are Once Upon an Escape. And we did their room, and they had a real glass mirror in the room. And one of the things we've encountered is you should never have anything made of real glass that you're giving to people to carry around.
Because they'll break it.
They'll break it. So we look for things like that. And so we gave them our notes and everything.
Yes,
Maybe they wanted
so hold on. Let me preface this. We stuck around for about 15 or 20 minutes talking to one of the employees, giving them tips on how to make the room a little more safe and just a little better. And it was just free advice because escape rooms are one of those businesses that the adage, a rising tide raises all ships. is perfect for, because if somebody does one escape room that's good, I don't know why I'm looking at this like it's the camera. Weird. I'm looking at my own reflection, I guess, like a parakeet. Jesus. If all the rooms are good, everybody gets work, everybody gets business, right? So we just try to help where we can.
We throw in advice, and I mean that's what we do. We're escape room consultants. We're kind of going, hey, here's our card. Here's a couple ideas for free if you want more.
Here's a free sample.
Here's a free sample.
So fast forward.
By
the way, this place is using those little red TSA locks that are really easy to screw up if by accident.
Well, they're using padlocks, period, in an Egyptian-themed room, because the ancient Egyptians... Aladdin themed room, because, the ancient Aladdin people had TSA number locks. Right. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
And we are the kind of escape room people that when we do a room, we will put everything back where we found it, so the guy who has to reset the room doesn't have a lot. Like, I put shopping carts back. I want their jobs to be easier if they have to clean up after me. So I'm putting things back. So the owner of this went to a bar that we happen to know, the owner, the waiters and stuff, and they were complaining about people who went to their room earlier and said they broke one of our locks. And they went, wait, who? It was a long-haired guy and a guy in a hat? Are you sure? No, they came in and intentionally broke one of our locks, changed the combination so we could never reuse it, and we had to cut the lock off. And I'm just sitting there like, yep, sounds exactly like us, but
yeah. And when I heard this story, I went, let me get this straight. So we came in, hung out after changing your lock for 15 or 20 minutes. Talking to your employee while they were resetting.
Well, then the waitress was like, I know these guys. They've actually, I'm pretty sure that's a misunderstanding or something, because I know them personally. I know what they've done. No, they came in to come and just destroy our business, like went on this rant on how we went in there to sabotage them.
So needless to say, they're not hiring us, and we're not going back there.
Yeah, so it's a husband and wife team. I'm sure they get along great with an attitude like that. We won't say which member of the family, but she is a beauty queen. So
she was
a beauty queen.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and the thing is that when you were talking about rising tide raising all ships, in that industry, it should be the same for magic, because also someone's first impression of seeing a magician is going to make a big impact on whether they want to see magic in the future, because they have all these presuppositions. And if the first magician they ever saw was creepy and stole their bra, then they're going to maybe not want to see more magic.
Wait, I got to defend that trick for a second, because it's a damn good trick that people don't know when to frickin' use it. You don't use it as an MC anymore. You don't use it, but if you know where and why something is funny, you can use stuff like that. But unfortunately, Uncle Touchy the magician doesn't know that, and then he does it at little Timmy's birthday party, and nobody understands. So the baffling bra is not a horrible trick in the right hands.
And there's a ton. You think of like,
I mean, bras in general are well, never mind. We won't get into that in the right hands, but
I mean, I showed Blaze a video
where it's appropriate, and there are contexts where it's very inappropriate, but it depends on who the performer is. What were you gonna say, Ryan?
Self-awareness of performers. I wear a wrestling mask and tell dirty jokes, and I perform in strip clubs. But when someone hires me to do a family-friendly event, I know they might want PG-13 shocker and not full-on shocker.
Yeah.
Now, granted, him and I did a piercing convention and managed to offend a lot of people that I did not think would be offended. When you see tattoos and piercings, you think they're impervious to pain.
Yeah.
Apparently not.
Apparently only physical.
Apparently, they were tattooed with snowflakes, and I'm not putting any sort of political judgment on it. But yes, it was. Wow, was that didn't go well.
I remember I showed Blaze a video when he was over here of a gentleman who did the baffling bras, but did it with children's underwear. And he's like, if I do a kid's birthday party, I'll put this in Jimmy's pants and then pull it out. And I'm like, and he's like, sometimes I'll have like Ninja Turtle underwear and stuff. And I'm like,
oh, Jesus Christ.
Like,
that's so.
When were you friends with Jan Reuven? That just.
Oh, Jan.
That's what his cellmate's saying.
Oh on.
Are you wearing the Ninja Turtles?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, there was a time when you
Wow,
could. Here's the thing, there was a
so
time when you could get away with that. Now is not that time.
No, exactly.
We've moved away from that, but other people haven't. I mean, there's also a guy in Vegas who he's a white guy doing an old Chinese racist Chinese man character.
What is it?
Well, there's
Chum Tzu or
another
what?
guy that's from Canada that does the same thing, and we watched both of their videos when we were hanging out that day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, it was.
It's
I
like
mean-
it's
Well, and he calls himself, and I kid you not, the Great Chin Chong.
Chin Chang.
Oh,
Chin
I'm-
Chang.
I'm-
Chin Chang.
I'm
The
going
Great
to-
Chin
I'm going to
Chang.
watch it. I'm
Oh,
pulling
And
this
he
up.
wears the
100%.
glasses
Wait, can we
with-
pull it up?
Oh man,
There's no way it's copyright claimed. We're not gonna get copyright claimed for watching this guy.
That's true.
Oh man, yeah. No, there's some people out there who haven't really taken a look around the world and paid attention, or they don't care. And I'm all for not caring, but know that you don't care.
I can't
No,
find it.
There's a time and a place for a lot of things.
Well, and evolution is a thing. Like, just because it was funny at one part of your career does not mean it's funny now. And if you
Search.
that's great,
Sorry.
but know when to take a stand, because not everybody is Daniel Tosh or Dave Chappelle.
Right.
Yeah.
The stand you make at Little Timmy's birthday party probably isn't quite as memorable as somebody else's. So maybe you shouldn't stick to your guns at those particular ones.
Oh, it's the Great
Search-
Ching Chang.
Chin Chang. And
Whoa,
make sure you put
man.
How did
make
it
sure you
get
put
even
magic
worse?
behind it.
I did.
Yes.
It's kind of like when you Google shocker, you need to put magic.
Yeah, you need to put add shock magic. to
Yeah,
the end of that.
shocker magic.
This guy.
Oh, man.
Uh,
Yep.
Oh
There it is.
no!
This is
Yeah.
so good. This is so good already.
Oh,
Can we blow?
no.
Let's blow this
Okay.
up. Let's blow this up and give
Yeah.
commentary
All right.
on this as we.
Here we go. Oh no!
I mean,
You really need the audio. It's not a bad production.
Yeah.
You need the
Oh, wait,
audio.
wait. Oh,
I'm
you
not
can't hear
saying
the audio?
you
Oh, you
play
can't
the
hear
the
audio.
audio.
The audio to-
Let me
looks
fix
like
it
you're
right
trying to
quick.
throw that bird against the wall. Like, what is this? Like, get
Yes.
off my finger.
Get off my finger.
So you should be able to hear the audio now.
Today, Great Gene Chang will show you a very rare and beautiful piece of Chinese
You
magic.
can hear it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Moxahala. Moxahala has never been seen outside of the southernmost tip of China in the villages.
That he's never seen or been to.
In the villages.
You know, those three villages of China that exist.
I mean, it's good for him that he's found a use for magic props, but
Yeah, I feel like this is a guy who heard about Chungling Su and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be that." But it's like people actually thought that he was Chinese. They didn't.
right, because he put makeup on and
No shot.
Yeah.
Like,
Rice.
Oh, man.
Rabbit. Piece of tissue.
thanks for telling us what you're doing while you do it.
Yeah.
You know, I would watch this for 3 minutes though. So it could
Right,
get
this is definitely better than a Facebook prank video.
It's Moxahala. The great Gene Chang would like to now say, thank you.
Round eye.
Good night.
Now that's the kind of laugh you hear coming from your closet in a horror film.
I was about to say that's a horror.
And I
movie.
will get you, Iron Man, as soon as I put these magic tricks away.
The only thing I love about it is that he doesn't try to do an accent.
There's
And then,
yeah.
He does and doesn't. He
Oh,
thinks he's
hang on.
doing it.
Trying
But
is
that's-
relative. Okay.
But that's what I mean. Like he doesn't do it for most of the time, and then like the end of a sentence, he adds it in, and it's like,
Oh yeah, like
it's
You
so
guys
great.
need to have him on the podcast. Come on.
We may just add to something.
No, he's already been on. That was it.
Yeah, they were showing archival footage.
Although I don't know which one was worse, because the one that is from Canada is just like blatantly racist. Like,
Yeah.
Are we talking like what's his name? The guy from LA who does the Iranian magician.
Oh, Bijan?
Bijan, the guy who does Bijan.
I know it because of Facebook, but Bijan the magician.
Yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. That is his culture.
But that's his culture. Yes. See, that's the thing. That's
totally fine.
Yeah,
I think that's funny.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, he's done this stuff at like the Magic Castle.
Oh yeah, no, he's been booked the castle a few times.
But I mean, the thing is, I think he knows. At least he is of that culture.
Yeah. No, exactly. It's like, Russell Peters, always makes fun of his culture and stuff, and that's hilarious, right?
Right.
But
I mean, and for all we know, this guy has a grandmother who's Asian. But I mean,
distant grandma.
Yeah,
well, I mean, technically the tricks probably came from China. So, I mean,
yes. Everything he's wearing, everything but him is from China.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Walmart going on there, so.
Yeah. 100%.
Oh, man.
That was
there you go.
That was.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I just gave Blaze, like, his evening. That's what he's going to be watching all night.
I mean, he's got more stuff on his channel. His real name.
Oh, yeah.
I was actually just talking with Anna Rose about this last night. I said, I think there are just as many bad male magicians as there are female magicians. It's just the ratio is different. Like if you were to take 100% of women, 100% of guys, the ratio, like 50%,
the percentages
are the same.
Yeah.
There are so many bad magicians on all sides out there. Yeah. It is painful, but it makes for good internet viewing late at night.
Oh, it's very true. It is very true.
I'm part of some Facebook groups, and that's all that it's about is just.
Yeah. Really? You should send me those.
Bizzaro needs watching time. He's like,
I got some stuff I can contribute.
Yeah.
There's
some fun stuff out there.
But you can only watch it, Bizzaro, when you're in the shower. That's all I say. It's the only time you're allowed to watch it.
That's only when I watch Blaze's video. Blaze, if you ever call me, I will answer just to see if you're in the shower.
Just to see. I'll start calling you more often. What happens? I cannot believe this guy. I mean, it boils back to what we were talking about before, the lack of self-awareness.
It's self-awareness. I mean, in the 70s, 80s, even 90s, I could see that flying, even early 2000s, but like Amazing Jonathan, if he was coming up right now doing the same stuff when he was, stabbing Penny in the head and you couldn't get away with that without knowing exactly the message you're trying to do. Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect at this crap. I am not perfect at all. But every day I'm like, all right, because Shocker comes out and people are assuming I'm going to piss him off. So, like, Nick DeFott can say shit that I can't say because he looks like a 12-year-old and he looks like somebody you want to take home, and it's like, oh, we're going to take him to Thanksgiving dinner, and he can be like, yeah, and I'm going to fuck your grandma, and they're going to be like, oh, it's so cute when he says that. And it's like, so they know I'm going to say some crazy shit. I have to bring my tone down so I don't get every member of Showtime at the Apollo booing at me before the television cameras ever air.
Boy, that's a really random thing to say.
Really specific.
Wow, that's a very specific example.
I'm still proud of that one, but that was a show you go on for a different reason than you do for Fool Us. But no, I had that audience pissed off before we ever started. That was he's still a little. We might have had a differing of opinion on it, but I'm pretty happy with it.
That's fine by me.
Well, here's what happened. So two things. One, and this is actually
like Showtime at the Apollo is like people getting booed. Like that's a big.
Yeah, so exactly.
Yeah,
so you go. A big thing. Here's the thing. You don't bring the white guy in the wrestling mask on Showtime at the Apollo to make friends. I was on for a very specific reason, I have a feeling. And it's the same reason Eric Buss was on, but Eric Buss didn't know he was on for that reason. So you bring us on, and now granted, I already had a feeling I was being brought on to maybe be booed or whatever. So when Steve Harvey goes, where do you perform? And I go, well, mostly in Vegas, but for the women out there, it's in their dreams. And they went, ha ha, oh, boo. And this boo just went. And as soon as the boo stopped, I went, hear all the guys booing? Because they're dreaming about me tonight, too. You don't make friends with that comment. So it just boo. And then so we got booed off, whatever. Eric Buss went on, who's got his great sample thing with the beer bottle, and there's some great magic in it, but it's white as hell. There's no other way to put that. And I love Eric Buss. I love him to death. He is the nicest guy, and I love his, but it is white as hell. So when he brought that to Showtime at the Apollo, it didn't go over well, and he wasn't expecting it to not, because every other venue it kills. But this was not the right venue. Now, the guy who forced Ziggy Marley as a prediction for us, guess what? His went amazing. Like, yeah. So if you know why you're going on the show, you can then take that and always turn it to your advantage. I got booed on Showtime the Apollo, so I made sure I pissed them off. So I've got, the rock stone cold footage kind of thing. Not, oh no, don't kick me off the show. And Eric didn't do that either. Eric did not do that either. I will say, we won't talk about who was it? Richard Pryor's kid. Also did not do well on Showtime.
Richard Pryor went on and he did not make
Richard
friends.
Pryor Jr. went on, forgot to touch the stump, told a couple jokes, and said they didn't even deserve to have him there, and that did not go over well with that crowd either.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I did watch Eric's thing on there, and like you said, it kills everywhere else, but on that, he got
on a cruise ship. You'd have the audience clapping and stomping along with that, but that audience was not the audience for it.
But they also are encouraged to boo and mess with people.
So if you do enough TV, there's stage managers in front of that audience giving them what reaction they want. Like, there's somebody there going like this or going, oh, and giving them the mime thing for how they should react. So, I don't know where we got there. I just want to talk about Showtime at the Apollo and piss people. Oh, being aware of why you're doing things. Right. So self-awareness.
Yeah.
And a lot of magicians, I find a lot of magicians have trouble being honest with themselves. Ironically, like they can't watch their own act or stuff and just sit there and go, "This is not okay."
Or somebody 10 people tell them, and they keep making the same excuse. It's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do the broad trick anymore. No, I killed in 78. Okay, but maybe you shouldn't do it now.
What about the guy? Remember the guy who got at the college at Purdue?
That guy, yes.
Who basically copied a Copperfield routine verbatim, where you had like girls putting their hands in his pocket, putting their butts against each other, all that stuff. And there was a lot. Now, there's trouble. There's issues on both sides. All of the easily triggered college students and the guy being overly creepy from a routine in the 90s when you could get away with that, and also Copperfield could get away with it.
Yeah.
And this dude, and he, I don't think he learned his lesson, because I saw his Instagram once, and I don't think he learned his lesson from it. But but at the same time, it's like, stop. First off, don't steal other people's material. That's the big one. That was the big one for us. But also, realize that colleges are not places to be creepy anymore. They don't like it.
I think it's a certain thing that, like, you mentioned before how you started out with magic at such a young age and knew magic oftentimes before you had even seen it performed. So you didn't really have that experience of, like, being the audience member and being not exposed to it. But the majority of people aren't like that, in that most people very rarely ever see magic in front of them. And you get this crazy rapid ego inflation of, like, somebody buys a trick or just watches somebody and rips off their material, and they're going to be the first person that this audience member's ever seen do that magic. So the best magician that they've ever seen. And so they can immediately get gigantic reactions that if you were any other kind of artist, like comedians go through years of bombing to be able to.
I talk about this all the time with magic. Magic is one of the few art forms or performance arts where your pocketbook dictates your profession, your title. You can go into a magic shop, spend $20, get a trick deck of cards, call yourself a magician, and prove it. You can't call yourself an artist and prove it, or a ballet dancer and prove it without some practice.
Right.
And there's also a thing of people, believing their own hype too much, or people going, "You're so good, you should be on television." They hear that enough. But also, I also feel that we should stop using reaction as the sole metric of how good a magic trick is. Because if somebody's like, this gets great reactions, awesome. You put a lasagna in front of me, he's going to get a good reaction from me. That doesn't mean it's a good trick.
Lasagna appeared right now. That would be freaking amazing.
Well, yeah,
that would be a good
that
trick.
whole thing of like it works on layman is always the phrase to justify basically shitty magic, and it's like, I mean, everything's new.
So you know, my manager Greg ran magic shops in Vegas for years, so I have experience with people entering the magic world, and there is the instant gratification to it, which is, I think the art form kind of needs that, because if you can't have something easy to learn right away, you won't have that love. And so many people who come to lectures and stuff aren't performers. They're people who go to the magic shop and buy the newest toy. They go to lectures because they want the newest toys. We need that to help support people who make money off of stuff like this. So there is that to it, but oh my God, it also does get rewarded, or once again, the not self-awareness of, because Copperfield did this on TV, that means I'm allowed to do it now, and nobody's stopping me because I just saw this guy on a cruise ship do it. Like, we don't police our own industry enough to hold people who start to make it accountable for doing. How many goddamn origami illusions do I have to sit through? How many bowling balls have to appear from sketch pads? And I love the bowling ball from the sketch pad, but everybody did it for so long that we have a rule now. I have a rule. He makes all his own shit. If I see more than 3 guys doing it, then if I'm doing that same trick, I better be doing it a different way. Like, I still pull a 20 out of a lemon, but you'll know you saw my version of Doug Malloy's lemon game because I changed a bunch out of it.
Well, and then my friend used to talk about this. My friend Dwayne Andrew. Yes, Dwayne Andrew. He's a street performer in Australia now. Him and I used to talk about magic all the time. And one of the things he talked about is sometimes you don't have to be the best they've ever seen, just the first, because they're going to compare everybody to you after that. Now, if let's say the first person they see do linking rings, they see somebody else on the line do linking rings. What's going to happen is they're going to be like, oh, they're going to say 2 things. Well, they're going to say maybe 3, but 2 mostly. They're going to be like, wow, this guy is way better than the last guy we saw. Or they're going to say, this dude is nowhere near as good as as that last guy we saw. But if you do your own material or put your own spin on things, you're going to be the only person they can compare you to. They can only compare you to you if you're doing something. But it's like, I do balloon swallow, but I have a whole story wrapped around it to make mine unique from other people's balloon swallow. Now, at the end, you could just go, well, you're just swallowing a balloon. And I agree. Yes, but it's a damn good trick. But I've tried to make it my own. And that's the thing. You can either create your own ideas and your own magic, or you can take something and make it so much your own that if somebody takes it, they're going to know that they took it from you. And there's a thing that I've talked about with Jeff McBride about called squatters' rights, where it's like, yes, this trick is published. This joke, this gag, whatever, is published. It's somebody else's, whatever. It was done back in the 40s. But this other person has been doing it and is known for it. It's been on. So there's an example of this. Amazing Jonathan, when he thought he was dying, was selling some of his jokes and stuff. And I was like, I would love to buy some of Amazing Jonathan's lines. I would love to get away with doing the Windex, right? Yep. However, he is so well known for doing that. Even if I owned the trick, people would thought I stole it from him. Yeah. Even if I bought the rights to do the joke, he's so well known, people would think I stole it from him. And even if somebody isn't well known, I don't want to do what somebody else is doing verbatim, because I don't want somebody to think I stole from somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. It was the same way. I was thinking about that too. And it's, even if you do it, you'd almost have to do a disclaimer of, and I bought the rights to this joke because if you don't, the assholes are going to say you stole it. And if they don't know better, of course they would.
Now, real people don't know, but some people, there are non-performers who will have seen somebody else do that joke, right? Seen Jonathan do it, and they might think, "Oh, I've seen that."
I did. I used to be when I started. I was a Jonathan cover band. My first comedy club thing. I mean, you got a handkerchief. Oh, then do this or something hanging there, and I drank the Windex, and I did the knife through arm. I was a Jonathan cover band. until I realized I shouldn't be. And everybody who learns guitar learns how to play Stairway to Heaven. That doesn't mean that's the only thing you should ever learn how to play. If you want to make your own band and become something bigger than what somebody's done before, you got to move past that stage. We all went through it. We should give people forgiveness for going through it. So when a young kid is doing it, we help them along with their way. If they do it 10 years later, then we talk shit. So it's like,
exactly. There's a certain point where it's like, I remember Whit Hayden was talking with me about it, and he was saying how I guess there are a lot of art schools in Japan where you are taught to verbatim try and imitate your professor your sensei over and over and over and over and over. And it's only at the point where you can perfectly imitate, then you're allowed to add more of your creative expression, because you've gotten all of the technical elements down and they know that you aren't just like flying by the seat of your pants. Obviously, there are people that are incredibly talented that don't need that and are able to just start creating off the bat, and creating things of a high quality. But it's the reason that art schools exist. It's like you learn to draw by drawing something in front of you before you just start making up things that are only existing within your mind.
Right.
But it's kind of like
you study when people did it right. Take what they did, and then hopefully.
Well, it's like, so like, here's an example. I was just talking about this there's a prop I just painted, right? And I use these painting techniques that have existed for hundreds of years. It's like, these work because hundreds of people have done it, and they know it works, and it is the basis of it. So it's like, I'm going to take these basic concepts of like low lights and highlights and painting props to make stuff pop and stand out from each other. It's basic. It's very basic prop making, scenery painting stuff. But you have to know where to do it, how to do it, when to do it. Like, you have to have that eye for it. There's a difference between knowing how to do it and having an eye for it. Like, I know people who can build websites. They look like crap, but they can make a functional website. And it's the same as editing video. It's like, you have to have, like, magicians should never edit their own video unless they have, because you have to have what's called an editor's eye. You have to know what to cut.
I think I just leave it at that. They shouldn't edit their own videos because they don't know. Because once again, most magicians aren't self-aware. I just had, I think it was Farrell Dillon do my shocker video because I've done it in the past and it looks fine, but I wanted a completely different vision. Bizarro's made me a bunch, but I wanted something. Yeah. You were busy as hell.
And it's usually you're too close to the material. You're so proud of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And but again, it's knowing what to do and what not to do, and that just comes with practice and failing. Well, and talking to people either researching or talking to people who also do it. Fitzke, the Fitzke trilogy, Showmanship for Magicians. It's a hard read, but it's worth reading some of it. And a lot of it, there's one thing in there he said that I agree with, and he's like, look at people who are in the top of their field, not just magicians, comedians, musicians, actors, everybody. Look at who's in the top of their field, what they're doing, why they're at the top of their professional field, and look at what they're doing and see and learn from it. Don't emulate it, don't steal it, but learn from it. Look at, like, it's like I would watch a lot of high-end performers. When I was starting out, I'm like, oh, they have walk-off music, they have walk-on music, they have stingers, they have all this professional audio cues. That's what I need. I need that, just my own version of it, And there's a reason all of these people do that, and it's because it feels more professional.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
That got me thinking. Talking about all the stuff though, like, when people start to look the same, the Chavez school just occurred because you could tell when somebody went to the Chavez school because they all did the same.
But there were people who broke out of that, there were people who broke out of that.
And that's my point: is the ones that broke out were the ones who learned how to take that and then make it their own thing. Like, I think
Sperry went to Chavez.
That's probably the perfect example of it, where he learned he learned the skills, but then he was like, but how is this?
Well, it's like you can, right. Well, it's learning. It's like building something. I can own a hammer and not know how to build something. It's like you can own the tools and still not be good with them. But if you have but you can't build something without the tools.
Yeah. So you got to have the skills to do it, but then learn that you need that. Just because you're good at the skill base doesn't mean that you got you're going to make it from there. Like you got to put that other.
Well, yeah,
spin
and
on it
I think that's
other
also a big differential between certain outlooks in Magic is that a lot of people will look towards just the history of what's come before them in Magic and been like, that's what Magic is, that's the right way to do it, rather than looking at the history of Magic and going, those are tools that I can acquire in my tool belt in order to make something that is my own and contribute to the art form in the future. Because it's like all of those things that you look back on in history, those were all at some point taken from something outside of Magic and brought into the art form.
Oh, absolutely. I've been saying this for years. Magic is always a decade behind every other art form because the people who get known for it are influenced by the previous decade of what they saw growing up. You know, like the guys in the 70s, a lot in 80s were very influenced by like Alice Cooper and Kiss and a lot of the rock bands and stuff like that. So their stuff looked a little dated and rock bandy and stuff. And then in the night, now you still have guys who are still trying to pull off the David Blaine thing from the 90s, you know, and the early aughts.
Yeah.
So and there's still people trying to look like Copperfield. I'm like, you guys are a little behind. But yeah, but Magic is always a little behind because our influences come from our youth, and our youth is behind us.
Well, that and Magic, except for rare occasions, is usually not influencing. Like Chris Angel had a little time frame where he was influencing David Blaine, Copperfield especially, but now, I mean, we've got influencers that are doing Magic, but I don't think they're They're
influencing bad behavior.
You know, without going into all the stuff that I could go on for hours about, and
that'll be on your podcast.
Yeah,
when you do that.
Magic Live. I will talk to all sorts of people by the bar at Magic Live about this shit. But regardless, I'm not against Facebook Magic. I'm not even against the stuff that they're doing, but they're not influence anything either because they're so generic. All the performances are generic. All the performances are get to the 3 minutes to watch the thing happen. That, yeah, maybe you are following these people, but their personality is not showing up, so they're not going to influence the next generation of Magic at least I don't think so, in a way.
Not in a positive way.
It's not going to be substantial because it's all happening online. So how do you can't take what's happening on Facebook and make a live show out of that right now. Or if you can, I will be very fascinated to see it. Xavier Mortimer is probably the closest, but that's because most of the stuff he did on Facebook was still magic. It was still actual illusions that he put so much more time and effort into those.
He stayed on brand.
Thank you. He stayed on brand. Where I don't know how you make a show around 3-minute pranks. Like,
well, and Xavier, we had Xavier on the show, and it's interesting because and he also is somebody who had acquired this skill set and was capable of doing a live show and has a live show in Vegas long before doing social media.
Right, absolutely.
And then he was just adding that into his toolkit and as marketing, whereas a lot of the people have very successful marketing for a non-existent product. They have
the marketing's paying really well at the moment. Unfortunately, for good or bad, the marketing pays 6 figures if you're in the right categories.
Yeah.
So.
But that's the bad thing too, is like when those people get, contracted by companies, hey, we want to have you come and perform because we saw all your stuff on Instagram or Facebook and stuff, and then they go and do a show and it's terrible because they don't perform shows. They're not used to being on stage. They're used to being in front of this, and then it looks bad. Yeah, but it looks bad on the whole gamut of Magic because
but nobody thinks about that. They don't think about the future damage. They just think about the nobody understands the long game. They're only in it for the short game.
The long and the short of it is if people make money at it, we're not going to be able to stop them. And they're going to have a fan base that we don't agree with. You know what? I don't really like Taylor Swift, but she's going to sell 50 million albums without me. So it doesn't matter if I like her or not. How can I make a positive influence on Magic?
Well,
all I can really do is, we can only do the stuff that we think elevates it, and the rest is noise. Let them have it. It's not artistically fulfilling.
I came to a realization not too long ago. I was like, let all of the bad social media magicians be bad and let all this terrible magic run its course, because what will happen is that'll make live performing look 100% better.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're going to come to a show, any of our shows, and they're going to go, wow, first off, this guy's way better than anybody I've seen online, but also they're doing the stuff in front of me. Like, this is not a filter. 100%. This is not an edit. This isn't Zach King. Like, they're doing Zach King stuff in front of me.
No,
and they're going to love us way more than the people on the internet.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
it's very true.
all of y'all keep being bad.
Well, it really comes down to the fact, if you can't tell, money is not our primary motivator. You don't become a weirdo magician because you think you're going to get rich at it. You do it because that's what feels right. And you know what? Like, I use the Taylor Swift analogy, but it's true. Taylor Swift is pre-packaged, pre-whatever for the masses. I'd rather go see Guar and the Aquabats. So there's going to be stuff I like that artistically fulfills me, and I'm just going to focus on the positive stuff, but be really funny when I'm talking shit about the bad stuff.
There's a song somebody turned me on to from a Broadway or an off-Broadway play or something like that, and the line is, I'd rather be 9 people's favorite thing than 100 people's 9th favorite thing. You know?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that calls for a.
Oh, absolutely! It does call for.
I don't know.
Wait.
Hold on. Yeah, what is this?
I'm not sure.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
It's coming. It took him a while. I was waiting for the mic.
A bunch of white guys doing this online is probably not a good look right now. I'm just going to throw it out there.
I was waiting for the mic drop.
I got it.
Mic drop. You just took way longer.
There we go. Okay, that's funny.
That's what I call 48 hours later.
Yeah, right.
That's it. Get out. No, but that's I really like that. I would rather be 9 people's favorite thing than 100 people's 9th favorite thing. It's great. It's really good.
A great sentiment, and it's and depending on your priorities, you can stick to that or not.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
But I mean, it's definitely a thing. Like, I mean, Shocker, you said, you don't become a weirdo magician, to make a ton of money.
No, but there are people who do become magicians to get rich because they know that's their path, and they know if I buy,
and some of them have,
and a lot of them very well. I mean, there's
people we've never heard of who work the trade show industry and all these other industries and made buku bucks, and you've never heard of them.
And there's, once again, nothing wrong with that either. I could have sold insurance and probably made 10 times as much money, but selling insurance would have killed my soul. So I sold magic tricks instead. And that's, you got to be happy with what you're doing, because at the end of the day, we're not taking it home with us. So you can accumulate whatever, but I'd rather live every day mostly doing what I want to do. And a lot of that is napping and playing virtual reality, but still, I get to do what I want to do.
Are you saying you don't sleep with the mask on? Is that what you're saying?
He's not saying he doesn't.
I'm not saying I don't. I'm saying there's a lot of things that happen with the mask on and the mask off. It really depends on where you are in the Shocker fan club before we.
Okay.
We got to get to the Patreon levels before the mask stays on for everything.
Speaking of the Patreon, everybody go to Patreon.
Go to their Patreon. If you do not have a lasagna shirt yet, what the hell are you doing? How do you live your life without a good lasagna shirt? I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Somebody needs to buy Katrina one.
Patrons.
I like her. I'm not going.
That's enough. That was just for that.
We actually have other merch that's only available for our patrons as well, our patrons. So we have our
recognize
retro.
all the nerds at the Magic Convention. That's right. You can spot them from a distance.
Yeah. So if you are one of our patrons, make sure to check out your exclusive. We have our retro Magic After Dark gear just for those guys. So. And we'll have another merch drop next week with all of our all access Magic gear.
Support the arts.
Are we talking like Steve Urkel retro, or are we talking like Fonzie retro?
Like this kind of retro, for example. So we've got exclusive. Like if you can see the logos right there, I'm very carefully cropping around everything so that we don't reveal exactly where people can get this that aren't patrons.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna buy it from me. I'm gonna buy like 12 of them right now, and I'm gonna sell. Okay.
For example, the Magic After Dark podcast merch is only available to patrons. So if you go to the patreon.com/allaccessmagic, you can access that, and everybody now can get the lasagna merch, and patrons get a discount on the lasagna merch. They get a discount on everything that's on the site, including the At the Table lecture with Bizzaro. You can learn all of his best.
I'll tell you what. I'll go one step further, because I got a whole box of these things from our Penguin Live lecture. They sent me the giveaways. If you are wearing a lasagna shirt at Magic Live and you come to me and you say lasagna, maskless or not, I will give you a copy of our Penguin Live lecture. But you got to be wearing the shirt and say lasagna. Yeah. And then you get our Penguin Live lecture for free as long as I still have some of the cards. And if I don't, then I'll give you a high five. But I probably will have. I got like a couple hundred because I only gave them to like 2 people.
But for now.
There's the lasagna shirt. You see us. You say lasagna. You get a free Penguin Live lecture from us.
Yes.
This has become like a new NFT. So I mean, you guys.
This is our NFT. Is this lasagna?
You get our lasagna.
I'll send you my commission rates when we're done with the podcast. Don't worry about that.
And I will say, the at the table lecture. Let me tell you a little bit about it actually, because I wanted to do something different. I pitched it to them. They said, we want you to do this lecture. I said, okay, I want to do something other than just a different lecture. And I said, I want to do a prop making and creativity lecture. I want to teach people how to make stuff. And they said, I don't know. We'll think about it. I'll bet Penguin would want it. Okay, we'll do it. All right. So, anyway, it was done as kind of this mad scientist character kind of thing, and it was a lot of fun. It was done a little bit differently. We set up very cheap back wallpaper to look like brick, and it's dumb, but it's fun. And at the time, there's like 6 tricks I teach on there. I think 4 or 5 of them I haven't taught anywhere else except on there. One of them I have since then, but that was the first place I taught it. So there's definitely some exclusive stuff on there that's worth getting. And also, again, I talk about paints, glues, adhesives, vacuum forming, electronics. I talk about a bunch of different stuff for prop making. So it's a good way to kind of, and I've had people message me after they watched it and said, hey, I just watched your lecture and I went and built a thing right after. And I went, awesome. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll play hype man for you because I've been there for half these lectures. He builds all the good looking stuff from talking about being self-aware. Just the fact, I don't know if you talk about it in this particular lecture, but you can use the skills for it, of taking a Mac Magic prop that looks like it has a Chinese dragon painted on it, and then you just repaint it to something that makes sense to you. The lecture I saw, he turned it into a bong. He doesn't smoke pot, but it made sense for the lecture he was doing, but it turned it into something someone would know. And it just allows you to look at the props you already own and go, how can I put my own spin on that? Oh, I could just vacuum forming is that easy, or repainting is that easy. And you just get an idea of how to take those props you already own and make them look better, make them look like you, make them look like something you should be using, not something that I spent $100 in a magic store and I've seen every birthday party guy use. So
yeah. So I mean, and here's the thing. This is all. A lot of this comes from my creativity notes that I have, and one of the big things I talk about there is you make the magic to who you are. Don't make yourself to the magic. Don't read the pattern that comes with the trick and just do it verbatim. Look at it and go, okay, but why? Why am I doing it? And that's one of the big things I talk about. And if anybody wants my creativity notes, they're actually changing soon. I'm actually writing a new set that combines a bunch of some other stuff. But my current set, if anyone wants it, I'll throw this up in the chat room and you can put it on here. It's you can go to smapdoodad.com and /bullet. Yeah, there it is. And that is my creativity notes. And you, Blaze, can pop that up as a little graphic here in a second. That is my creativity notes. Feel free to
comments in the private chat.
You put it in the private chat.
No, I put it on YouTube actually.
Oh, okay. I'm just waiting for it to come in on YouTube then.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's easy to remember. It's just smapdoodah.com, which is something everybody remembers.
Because I in our description, your Instagram tag is already there, and I know it's also your one of your websites.
Right.
But what is the origin story of this phrase?
I'm gonna pee while you tell that. I've heard it too many times.
Okay, so when I was in high school, there was a book that was put out. It was an Art of George Lucas movies book, all right? And it had all this concept art for different things, Star Wars, Willow, a bunch of other just different movies Lucas was involved with. And not only was it the images, but it was also like little weird, they had comedic things with it. They had like this alien from like a cantina alien from Star Wars, and they'd put a little piece of text next to it that was like a personals ad. It was like single alien seeking same, haha. So they were being fun with it. So they had this one creature, and it had a thing. It was a recipe. It was called How to Cook a Smap, and it was spelled S-M-A-P. And my friend and I thought that was the funniest word we'd ever heard. We were laughing our asses off about it. So there was my friend and I used to just like to say weird nonsense words to each other back in Texas, and one of them was SMAP, and then I was doing a magic show. I was 15, I want to say at the time, doing a show with this is in 95. A friend of mine and I were doing a show, and we threw a trick in last minute, so we were just kind of winging the script. And at one point I'm like, we need a new magic word, like SMAP doodah. I said that, and it kind of stuck. So when I started looking for on my website, I went Bizzaro.com, and they went, sorry, Rubber Stamp Company. And I went, what? What the hell? You know what? Awesome. I know what word's not taken, and if somebody hears it, they'll think only of me. SMAP doodah. Well, I'm still correct, but also it's hard to spell. So that's why I also bought my website is hardtospell.com. And then I also bought opticalillusionist.com, and now the main website I tell people is bizzaro.ninja because that's funny to me.
That is fun.
That's awesome.
Ninja is hilarious. Say's wanted to know that, yeah.
So does
it might,
the book have
it might. It's been so long since I've read it. It probably does.
Isn't that also where he's like,
I think they made it as a joke.
Okay,
I think it was a joke. Yeah.
Isn't the genre of music that they play called jizz or something instead of jazz?
Something like that, yes.
Isn't it like George Lucas? Like, how did you not realize that this is a real word already, man?
It was the 70s. They had a cocaine budget on set. We won't talk anymore.
I mean, listen, there's some things I always wonder how people didn't think of. It's like, how did you not realize that was a bad idea?
Yeah.
Well, what is it? You never know when something is going to take on the pop culture meaning. Like somewhere in 1937, there's a sailor who got a brand new tattoo of an Indian peace symbol that thought it would be the coolest thing in the world until the Nazis came up and it all of a sudden meant something different all of a sudden. He's like, look at this cool hippie symbol that means peace. And then 2 years later, it's like...
Yeah, exactly. Matthew is asking, shocker, do you have a wrestling background?
No, I actually have a freak show background there. It's not even my damn house. I don't know how you're trying to associate this stuff with me. Jesus.
I don't know if he's saying like background like that or if he means
yes and no. The way I like to tell people, I'm more Jimmy Hart than Bret the Hitman Hart. Like I know how to get my ass kicked, and I know how to say enough things very funny to get my ass kicked. But if you watch my Fool Us, you'll see I don't do much of the ass kicking because I have not gone through the training to know how to do that properly.
You and I both have gone through a little bit.
We've had
a little bit.
The guy who was on Fool Us with me, Sin Bodhi, he was in WWE for like this long as a wrestler named Kazarni. And I won't get into all the things in WWE, but suffice to say, you can have a short career in there that is no fault of your own. Maybe the gimmick is pushed on you in a way you didn't want to do it. Maybe there's personal. But anyway, he's more talented than he got to show in his short run on WWE. He was trained by Jake the Snake Roberts. He came up with a wrestling show in Vegas called Freak Show Wrestling, which that's how we ended up meeting him. He wanted magicians. He wanted sword swallowers. He wanted Amazing Jonathan hosted one of them. But we also got Cody Rhodes at one. We got John Morrison because he knows everybody. He's been wrestling the indie circuits for years. So he's very well respected there. So he taught us the basics on how not to get basically hurt when we do things. I've done a little bit more. I've
learned how to take a choke slam, like a legit choke slam. Yeah. And how to there's a handful of little tricks and tips you know that only wrestlers know, and things like here's one for you. This is actually pretty interesting. If you watch wrestling, they all roll and to the left. Like it's an industry standard to roll to the left because that way you know that person will not be underneath you when you jump. Like you know where to jump. But it's one of those things that nobody ever really picks up on or notices, but it's just something that everybody is taught. And it's something we know because we've been taught it, but the general public doesn't know that. And it's a very interesting thing.
To get to the meat, magic and wrestling are essentially two very similar shades of the same art
very
form.
Adjacent
We're all
art
using
forms,
deception to do things. We're pretending we have powers we don't. We're pretending to do really dangerous things by making them as safe as possible. We're coming up with outlandish reasons why we're doing it. We wear flashy outfits and call ourselves big things. Like, there's just a lot less Speedos in Magic, and that is very important.
Very
I used
to perform
the Twinkie bikini that you wear. That is disturbing.
I used to open up.
I grew up next to Chesaday, and we never knew each other. Hey,
and you guys have the same hair.
And we have the same. No, we don't, motherfucker. I have way better hair than Chesaday. I love you, Ches, but no, I have better fucking hair than Chesaday. But yeah, so he's the one who taught us how to do things. So you need those fundamentals in wrestling. Just like you do in Magic to make them look invisible. So no one should know that you're doing that. Nobody should know that when you lock up, you keep your head down. So if you need to tell the guys something, your hand is blocking. Like, they don't because you shouldn't notice because it's supposed to be invisible to the audience. And even though the audience knows, because they know we didn't go to Hogwarts, they know we didn't even go to the University of Phoenix Hogwarts. They know David Copperfield can't cure cancer, or he wouldn't have had somebody have to have their bucket list moment in their show. We don't do magic. We don't. We say we do. So the audience knows that and goes along for the ride. The wrestling audience, if I count one more person who goes, wrestling's fake, don't you? Really? And the sky's blue and water's wet. Thanks for sharing there.
And Grant's talking about the fact that there is actual like Olympic wrestling as a sport, which is also weird in its own right. But like there's I used to perform at a lot of wrestling shows and either open up or perform like at halftime. And it's very interesting being backstage or like not backstage, but like behind,
behind the curtains
with a lot of wrestlers. And the way that they're kind of rolling and preparing for the performance that they're about to do is very similar to how magicians would jam.
Yeah, absolutely.
About magic, a lot of inside lingo. And it was even like looking at the schedule, I was like 8 to 8:30, like these two guys. And then it's like no time limit. And I'm like, interesting that there's no time limit if I have the time frame right there. Like everything's choreographed out,
It's interesting. Well, wrestling has a little bit of a jazz feel to it. The real wrestling, and that's why, I'll go into this if you guys talk to me, because there was that Foolus bit took 10 years to come up with to get it exactly the way I wanted to get it. And there was a lot of thinking and thought that went into it. That all looks invisible because of that. But the long and the short is there is a jazz to wrestling. There is hey, the audience is really popping for us. Somehow so they might make it go a little bit longer, or they might make it go a little bit shorter. And kind of like Magic too, if you're a good performer and you got the audience with you, you might take them somewhere else too. The long and the short though is it's still telling the audience a story that they want to go along with. Both art forms are. It's just how we choose to do it and all that. But like you said, backstage at wrestling is a lot like backstage at a variety show. It
is funny because all of this is reminding me of a guy who's got a documentary out right now, David Arquette. Who loves magic and loves wrestling.
Yep.
I gotta reach out to him, damn it. I forgot about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's celebrities that should be calling me every day. Where are you, Seth Rogen? If you want this voice, you're going to have to fight. So, same with you, David Arquette. If you're watching, if you're one of the 90 followers right now, you call me up. We'll do whatever you do in Hollywood. I don't know what it is anymore. We'll do brunch and cocaine.
David follows me, so I might actually reach out to him and see if he'll come on for an episode.
I'm going to say
and
this,
we'll have you guys on together.
Damn Magic community, and I know he was sick, but Max Maven loves mentalism and wrestling. And I did mentalism and wrestling, and he still hasn't reached out to me. Now, I know he was in the hospital, but we're good friends with Carissa, and she said she even showed it to me, and I still haven't heard from the motherfucker. So maybe my hair is better than his, and he doesn't want to talk to me. I don't know, but Max, whatever your issue is, let's squash it. Let's be friends, buddy. Come on. All right, let me get that out. Little therapy time.
That's
wow.
Awesome. Yeah, that went
Good thing Phil Goldstein wasn't in the chat.
Right?
He periodically joins in.
He does periodically join
Watch
in.
him come, all of a sudden show up and be like, "You rang." He's like, "Holy shit!"
I would love
You
that.
summoned me. Tigger.
If Eugene Berger shows up in the chat, though, I'm freaking out. I'm just going to say that right now.
Yeah, it's a seance. Said the word boner used to mean joke. That's actually true. Dr. Seuss, that everybody knows from Green Eggs and Ham and everything, his claim to fame was a book called The Pocket Book of Boners, and it was all like dad jokes basically. And then he had so many sequels. It was like More Boners, The Omnibus of Boners. It was crazy.
Funny side note with the magic tie-in, Rick Lax's boner is also a joke.
Oh boy!
I'm out. I'll see you later.
All right. Well, I think Shocker just is done. I think he's done for the evening.
That's a mic drop.
Nugget.
Shocker! All right, now I'm
I'm surprised you guys have let us talk this long. To be quite frank.
Fun. I had one last question that I was really curious about, because you said that you've been doing magic basically your whole life. But at the same time, there are a lot of skill sets that you have that set you apart in the magic community, in the magic world, and are probably have opened doors for you to do consulting and things with other acts, like your ability to do a lot of electronics and wiring, or your ability to draw and design things really well. Did you collect all of those skills for the purpose of magic, or did you end up working in those industries separately where you acquired those skills and then brought them into magic?
A lot of it was because of magic. It was because I needed to create things that didn't exist. A lot of it was me going, I have a vision and I want this to occur and I need to know how to do this. So a lot of it is because of magic. And also I used to build stuff for my friends. I used to help create things for my friends. I used to sit and come up with ideas. I'm like, how do we do it? And the knowledge I have now comes from a mix of building for other people and escape rooms. I've learned a lot of crazy stuff with escape rooms, but a lot of that knowledge was kind of already there. But like wireless, learning how to do wireless stuff, like with remotes and stuff, I learned for magic, and Arduino programming. I think I started learning that for magic initially, and then it moved over into escape rooms. And then I stopped using Arduino for escape rooms because it's a pain in the ass. I use like Haunt controllers now. But yeah, so it's a lot of it I would say definitely stem from magic and just wanting to build my visions of things for sure.
Well, to be your hype man again, I mean, the whole thing is he doesn't do tricks that other people make. He makes his own stuff. So he starts thinking,
modifies the hell out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So he starts by, what do I want to see happen? And then works the magic back from that, as opposed to...
We already talked about that. Yeah. But thank you for reiterating this. You're a little late for that party, but...
Well, I was going to hype you and talk about... I mean, that's why he gets hired for TV shows. That's why he made stuff for Carbonaro. That's why he makes stuff for Copperfield. That's why people come to him, because the thing doesn't exist in nature, and they know Bizzaro's the first guy to call it if something doesn't exist in nature and you want a workable version of it. So he comes up with stuff... You can give him an idea and he'll give you, kind of like what they used to say about Johnny Thompson, is you give him an idea, he'll give you 3 ways you could do it in probably 15 minutes. They might not be feasible. One of them might be you need to drop a nuclear bomb onto Washington, D.C. for the misdirection, but he'll still have the basic of the idea behind it to move on with.
One of the things I tell people all the time is, it's like, somebody comes to me and says, do you think this is possible? And my answer is always yes. How much time and money do you have? Mm-hmm. Anything is possible with the right amount of time or money. And there's this amazing Venn diagram that everybody brings up, and it's very true. And I love to show it to people when they ask me about stuff. I say, there's cheap, there's fast, there's good. You can pick 2. Which ones do you want?
Yeah. Yep. 100%. 100%. And I did that all the time.
I can make you something amazing with more time and enough money, and I can make you something that works with a little bit of money and a little bit of time.
That's it. I had a guy call me and go, can you make an illusion for me for this routine I came up with? I need it next week. I've got $600. I'll give it to you now, and I'll pay for all the materials. And I'm like, well, that's not a lot of money when you're thinking about creating an original prop.
Right.
That's going to take 30 hours to make.
Well, and that's a lot of people don't understand that when they come at you with something like that, is you also need to pay for the R&D. You're like, it's like R&D. It's like, why is this so expensive? Because I did all the work. You did nothing.
And it's like, you might have just seen that one finished product, but I had many iterations that I needed to build in order to get it to that point where it was ready to deliver. Like,
and the thing is, it's like, if you want to be a professional, be prepared to pay professional prices.
And that's exactly what I said to them. I said, I can build you something that will work for this video that you're doing, but if you want this to go on stage, this is not stage ready. You need to give us like a few months to do this, because again, all the R&D and stuff. I said, but we can
between something having to work once and work every single night on a tour are two completely different projects.
100%. And so in the end, they ended up paying someone to build the table, which was odd, and they've paid thousands of dollars now. And I'm like, that's what I told you you'd have to do right from the start. It's like, if you want something that's going to work consistently, but you got to pay.
And there's also the thing of, it's like, pay the money to have it built right the first time, because it's like people who are like, I'll buy this cheap thing from China. Right. You're going to end up spending the same amount of money buying multiple. It's like, spend the money to do it. Like, I've learned the hard way to spend more money on the right tools. Like, there is very much a difference between a $30 Harbor Freight drill and a $100 DeWalt drill. Big difference. Now, they both do the same thing, but one does it way better and more consistently
for a lot longer.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I see people be cheap all the time, and I'm like, I have learned, especially in the escape room business, buy the right thing, buy the expensive thing the first time that is made to hold up, and you won't have to deal with it again. And if you do it, it's years later, not weeks later.
With escape rooms, that's my biggest pet peeve, is when you go in, other than the stupid amount of blocks, is when you go in and everything in there looks like it's from the dollar store, and it's been used 900 times, and it's like, this looks like shit. Yeah, either pay to replace it or
I remember being in a room where there was a piece of paper when you opened up a cabinet, and it had just basically been black duct taped back on. I think it was even silver duct taped back onto the thing, and I went, Are screws and laminate too hard for you? Like, I mean, this you didn't just do this now. This has been here a while. Like, I understand that temporary fix, but holy crap, do something more with it. There's that other saying. It's like, if you think hiring a professional is expensive, wait till you hire an amateur.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Nugget just threw that in the chat.
Because in the end, you're going to end up paying the professional.
Yeah,
that's the bad part. So
again,
you're
just do it right the first time, and it sucks, and it sucks to have to do that. But quite frankly, it's worth it in the long run.
100%.
Yeah, it's like buy the actual Losander table. Don't buy the China knockoff table.
I just bought a new Mac, because I'm a Mac guy, and we can talk about that later. But when I'm looking at the hard drives, and I got the one that was $200 more, and it was paining me because I can replace hard drives, but Mac and all that. But I know a year and a half from now, when I run out of room, I'm going to be like, son of a bitch, I should have spent the $200 2 years ago, and then I wouldn't be going through this.
Well, that was how we just bought. We just invested in what's called a Maslow CNC, which is a CNC. Yeah. Right. Yep. Now, and what they do is theirs is vertical. It's vertical instead of horizontal. And I was like, I looked at the stuff, and I'm like, well, there's the basic kit for $500, or there's the like full on, well-made, all metal for easily $600 more. And I'm like, let's get the good one, and so we don't have to upgrade or replace it later.
Yep.
You never want to go, I wish I had done that thing that I saved $20 on when it breaks. So if it's not important, go cheap. If it's part of your show, don't use dollar store batteries in your microphone. Like, just know your cheap level and your importance level, and try to match them.
Oh yeah, and
there we go.
Yeah, there is something to be said for knowing how to do a quick fix cheaply and quick. That's the thing. It's like whenever I do consulting and I go on a TV show, I have to make stuff in 10 minutes using what's available. That's a separate skill that you definitely need to have. But there's very much a difference between a temporary fix and a permanent solution. Now, sometimes there are times when a temporary fix can become a permanent solution, but you have to know when that is.
Yep, 100%. Well, I learned all this stuff when I started 10 years ago making card clips and stuff, right? And there was 10 other guys in the last 10 years that have come out making card clips, and every single one of them now are gone. I'm basically the only one that does it. There's maybe one other guy who teamed up with. Yeah, the other guy teamed up with me because I said, "Hey, we're in the same area. Let's team up." But other than that, everybody that came out and was like, "I'm making card clips," copying the designs I was making and stuff like that, they all went out of business because people got their card clips and they were cheap.
Yeah.
So they were cheaper than mine, which is fine. But I spent like a long time figuring out the glue and the adhesive and how to make it stick, and like the waiting process to do everything and stuff to make sure that it lasted a lifetime.
Right.
And then I always gave a lifetime guarantee on all my products. I was like, if it breaks or something, send it back.
Well, that's because
fix
you
it.
knew
Or
why
I'll make
you
new
were
one.
making them. You knew the
Yeah.
reason why. People ripping you off, the reason why was to make money, and they said, oh, here's a product I think I can do as well. And then
Yeah.
they come out, and sometimes it works for 9 times out of 10. If you don't know why you're making that product, you're going to make a shittier version of it. And
Yeah.
that's why, somebody stays around that much longer, because
Yeah.
why they did it.
I was just watching the documentary on 3D printing. It's called Print the Legend, and it's on Netflix. And there's a guy. This guy talked about his mentor, and he said it's like, if you're gonna do something, do it 10 times better than 100 times better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so I haven't watched that documentary, but is there so I've got to see firsthand touch the world's first 3D printed book, and then the full book is 3D printed. It's in Toronto. It's like the University of Israel. They have a center in Toronto, and it's on Einstein, and the whole book is shaped as Einstein's head. And, like, it's crazy.
So they even 3D printed the paper, the pages?
Everything is
Wow.
3D printed. Yeah.
That's
so
nuts.
it took. I
mean,
forget
you
how
can do
long.
it. It's absolutely possible.
I forget how long they said it took to do. It was like 3 years or something. Like, it was
No,
crazy
for sure.
long. But every single piece of this thing is 3D printed, and then it creates the head of Einstein, which is unbelievable. But
That's pretty crazy. Yeah.
it was super one of the craziest.
Well, I mean,
3D printed things I've ever seen.
People who are 3D printing tissue, they 3D printed an ear. Like they're giant 3D printers, 3D printing houses. And here's something I didn't know: 3D printing started. The filament printing came later. It was the I want to say it's the SLA, or I think SLA came first. But some of the first 3D printing stuff happened in '89. Late 80s.
Yeah.
3D printing started way earlier, but it was all industrial.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like
Until way later.
$200,000 to
Yeah,
get.
exactly. I remember the first time I heard about it was 2003 with the SLS, was the sinter, STS or whatever it is, sintering, whatever it is, the laser powdered ones. That's the first time I saw it, and it was like the size of a Xerox copy machine, right? And I was like, I want this, can't have it, too expensive, too big. And then I watched the technology just slowly increase and then just take off.
Yeah.
And
now
it's
anyone
great.
can have one for a couple $100.
Yeah. I can.
it's
I love it, and what I love about 3D printing is I go to my 3D printer, I say print this. I leave my house, an hour later I come home and it's Christmas.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, your idea exists. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's
that's an instance where
a ton of bad prototypes of stuff out of cardboard hot glue and prayers. Being able to just make that out of plastic is great now.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. 100%.
Because then your creativity isn't limited at all by bottlenecks like the tools that are at your disposal.
Right, exactly.
That you could imagine, you could bring into existence. You could print it.
We were working on a prop for escape rooms, and I was going to build one out of wood, make it really nice, then make a mold of it, a silicone mold, do it old school. And then I stopped myself and went, I live in the future. I could just 3D model this thing with the tools that I can 3D model. Why don't I do that and send it to a place to get it done on a resin printer, and it'll take the same amount of time. And it did.
Yeah.
And I was way happier because sometimes we forget we live in the future.
I think that's probably a good way to wrap it up. Sometimes we can live in the future.
That's right. We live in the future, but this is coming to you from the past. Ooh.
That's it.
Lasagna!
Sometimes we come at you from the past.
Perfect. That's it. But I mean, yeah, guys, if you are not following Bizzaro, the Shocker, make sure to go and follow those guys.
Or these guys.
As well,
Yeah,
for the next 72 hours, we have Bizzaro's at the table lecture. So make sure to get it. Make sure to get some lasagna merch and go and find the Shocker at Magic Live, because you're going to get another.
Remind me I said that, because I'm going to completely forget, and I'm going to have to probably email you the card later. But
Rocker,
if you
no
remind
way
me, I
that
won't
you're
remember.
forgetting. No way that you're forgetting if these people run up to you with lasagna merch.
I will be. I'm hoping for that moment now.
I want to see at least 20 people wearing those shirts at Magic Live.
That's
Guys,
what
we're gonna be the
If enough
lasagna
people
gang.
show up, I might even buy a ticket to Magic Live and not just sit at the bar.
No, that'll never
promising
happen.
it.
Nope.
There you go.
But no, we will give you guys lasagna merch if we see you at Magic Live, and everybody get it in the chat so that we can all be the lasagna gang at Magic Live and take
That's
over.
it. We want to have a sea of lasagna at Magic Live. That's the goal. So make sure to get your merch while you can. If you're not following us on Patreon, go to patreon.com/allaccessmagic. Couldn't say it there for a second. And make sure to join up because you get discounts on all this stuff as well. So
not only that, but if you like this stuff, if you enjoy random people shouting at you through your internet screen, the way you support people is by joining a Patreon, and it's worth it. You get cool stuff. Look at their backgrounds. They did lighting. They really put thought into this. If you are not a Patreon now, stop being a cheap bastard. You're gonna get a free lecture as long as you just buy the shirt.
All you gotta do is stop following one of those strippers on OnlyFans and move it over to Patreon. You'll budget will be the same.
Yeah, there's so much.
You don't know my stripper budget apparently, but yeah, no. If you're not a Patreon, become a Patreon now, or I will find out where you live. Okay, and I will show up at your house and I will date your daughter. I already dated your mom. I will date your daughter. So join a Patreon and nothing gets weird.
You don't want this showing up in your shower.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
You don't want a shocker shower. That is on
safety.
That is on Urban Dictionary, and if it's not, it's going to be in 20 minutes.
And padlocks aren't safe, followers, because these guys do escape rooms.
These guys go through 80 in an hour. They're really
these guys are pros.
Easily.
Really next level. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of All Access Magic. This is
thanks for sitting through whatever this was.
You guys are absolutely awesome.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Hopefully you'll come back on again sometime. And
I'm happy to. Yeah.
Hopefully you'll come back on with Shocker when we.
On Shocker's episode, you
guys.
I don't know. It's not like I'm a freaking magician that you could talk to alone or anything. I mean, 6 TV shows, but Magic Magazine doesn't want to write articles about me.
They're not a magazine anymore.
No, I know.
No. It's only so that Bizzaro could sit in the back of you.
Right? Yeah,
we'll
That's it.
Yeah, we'll do the whole.
We'll go to your house. I'll come to your house and build something.
You come to my house. We'll build something. We'll have the same setup. It'll be great.
100%.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you guys again so much. Thank you for everybody that watched. We'll see you next week. If you are one of our patrons, we will see you on the weekly. We'll see you next. We'll tell them who next week is, I guess, at the same time.
Yeah. Next week we have the man, the myth, the legend. No, we have Franco Pascali, cardist and magician, mentalist, coming on. So we're very excited to be talking with him. And then after that, we've got some craziness that I shouldn't spill the beans on yet. But
let's not spill the beans yet. But the following few weeks are pretty crazy as well.
Shouldn't you guys really be saying bake the lasagna? I mean, come on. If we're going to be doing food metaphors,
yeah,
that's it.
I think that's it. That one's free. The next one you got to buy my Patreon to get.
Yes. Sub to everybody's Patreon and all of our OnlyFans.
That's right.
And we'll see you next week on All Access Magic.